Welcome to the Triple Takeover Toycast, a fortnightly podcast all about Transformers and yes, occasionally other toy lines as well. But tonight we're back again for more Transformers because it's Studio Series, baby, isn't it? How are you both doing, guys?
Good.
What ho? Yo ho ho.
Oh, it's Christmas soon. You can do the extended version of that.
Oh,
jaunty.
don't get him started early, honestly.
Yeah.
You've mentioned the dreaded word, honestly.
I switched into Christmas mode on November the 1st.
I'm sure that is true.
Actually,
Yes.
that's not true this year because I was out doing Halloween stuff on November the 1st. So November the 2nd, I would have woken up right. Halloween's done. Now
I've sort of got this image of you changing directly from Halloween costume to Santa outfit around that time,
Yeah.
Liam, yeah.
It's basically like, Wonder Woman, the old TV series where she spins
Just
around
spinning.
and turns into
Yeah.
a outfit. That's basically what it's like. You go from Halloween to Christmas.
I could see it, absolutely.
Yeah.
My alarm goes off the first day, and it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah,
opening for me.
you and my 8-year-old both, let me tell you. Today in the car, he asked me what the date was and how many days of November there were left. And when I told him, he was like, okay, so plus 25. Oh, there's this many days till Christmas. And I was like, oh, God, it started already.
Yes.
Do you know what the thing is, though? I actually have now, my brother messaged me today and he's doing Christmas this year as well. So me and my son are going to go to his for Christmas Day, which is going to be lovely as well. So I'm getting into the Christmas vibes as well, Liam. I'm there
Good
with
man.
you.
I'm
there with you.
resisting.
Yeah.
Someone at work already had the Christmas radio on in the corner. And
Oh,
at first I
God.
thought, it's too early, is what I tried to say to people at work. But unbeknownst to them, I'd actually walked to work listening to the Christmas playlist. Walked into the office. It's time. Enjoy it. It's the greatest season of all.
Liam, mate, you're like a walking meme, honestly.
I'm like a walk-in Christmas fan. What?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
quite
sure.
right.
Yeah.
That's it. Getting in the mood, toys, all that good stuff. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
It's the season of giving, the season to be caring, as they say in the Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Do they indeed? Very
They
good.
do. They do. That's true.
Well, plenty of toy discussion to be had tonight because we are going to talk about Studio Series, which has actually been a bit of a long time coming, this discussion. And I think it's going to be a good one. And believe it or not, this came out of a Patreon commission because we do actually have Patreons commissioning us for minisodes. I think we've mentioned this on previous episodes as well. We've done a couple of them as main episodes recently just because some of them have been so good and kind of like episode worthy. Do you know what I mean? So we sort of upgraded them.
And also very broad.
Yes, very broad. Yeah.
Yeah,
Studio
Fair to
series,
say.
you're like,
Yeah.
it's a bit
Yeah.
more than 25 minutes to half an hour.
Well, to be fair, in this case, it came from one of our patrons called Ross, who actually did say in his commission, he put, it's probably more of an episode in itself, but I would love to hear your thoughts on the Studio Series line as a concept. And loving the pod so much, easiest podcast to recommend too. So, of course, he butters us up.
Good
That's
man.
a little
very
bit and-
lovely.
yeah,
Yes.
thought couldn't
Nice.
say no to that.
Yeah.
So, yes, Ross, we are here to talk about your suggestion, which is Studio Series. So we're going to get to all of that in just a little bit. But before then,
Merry
though-
Chris Ross.
Huh? Good God. I'm going to move well past that.
No, we're in the time now. I'm all about
We're absolutely not. It's not Christmas yet, Liam.
Oh,
Just
it's old
hold your horses.
Screwjoe over there.
And this is not only like a couple of days.
Bar
after-
Goldbug.
Only a couple of
Bar
days
Goldbug.
after I've relented on allowing you to do like a Christmas special for our patrons as well, isn't it? I've said that you can this year.
It's going to be lit, man.
I've
That's
agreed
gonna
to
be...
it.
Oh, it's going to be so festive. You're going to be drinking hot chocolate.
All the jingle
Dread to
bells.
think. Oh, the jingle bells.
Gingerbread. Oh,
You'll
big
learn the
snow.
names of all of the reindeer from
Gosh,
Santa
what
Claus's
have I
sleigh.
agreed to? Honestly, I might have to rescind that decision. I don't know, but we'll see. Depends how tonight goes. Have to be on your best behaviour.
Well, I want to be on Santa's good list, don't I? So
You want to be on my good list. That's what you want. So
what? Old Screwjoe.
exactly. But I was going to say, we do have a sponsor for the evening, and that is, of course, TFSource.com, who we will come back and talk about a little bit later in the pod. But we have actually another sponsor now as well, don't we, Jason?
We do. We have our new sponsor, ValArt, which, for those that haven't heard, it's a cataloging system for your collection. My collection, I have since, I've got that app that I have longingly talked about.
Your infamous
My
database.
infamous app that Liam seems to think is very out of date and
I
incorrect.
thought it was just an Excel spreadsheet you had. I didn't realize there was a whole app involved.
It's a pretty app. It's it's very good, but it is now end of an era because the developer of that app has stopped updating that one. So I bit the bullet now that ValArt are sponsoring the pod bit the bullet and I'm moving my entire collection over. Little did I know, it's 3 gigabytes, which for those that are listening, it's a lot of content.
Photos or what?
It's mainly photos, admittedly.
I was going to say, is it not just a text file, like a CSV
well,
or
it's
something?
a lot of text files. So I was sitting there, when I should be doing my day job, and then this past week I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. That'll be really satisfying. This is the weird thing about me. I love that kind of cataloging and organizing everything, and because my collection's in 2 places at the moment as well, I wanted to keep track. And also, it's worth mentioning that I did buy one of the Takara collection series box sets. I got Sideswipe again, so I now have 2 of that one.
Never a bad thing.
I know, well, exactly. But so I decided it was like time to properly update it. So yeah, I've been shifting that all over to ValArt, and it's deeply satisfying because I'm just sitting there exporting one bit out, and it is a Google sheet. Let's be honest. You're right, Liam. It is that. Now that I found a method, it's a bunch of text that I'm just put data, lots of data. So yeah, it's been really satisfying.
Sixo, I can see his eyes lighting up there.
Oh yeah,
spreadsheet, data. Jason's dirty talk here.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me more.
Such a weird thing, though, isn't it? But it was quite funny. I was chatting to some of our patrons about it because we've got a ValArt channel on the Discord now as well. So I was chatting to them about it and just getting everything moved across. But I just want to kind of know what I've got. That's what it's come down to.
Yeah.
And it's proving to be fun. Let's put it that way. So
I was very confused by that channel. I don't know if you noticed. I was really confused.
Properly confused by that channel.
Yeah, but he was also 3 sheets to the wind in the pub. Let's point out. So.
Yeah, I was very drunk at the time when I saw it. I thought I was seeing double because we had our own ValArt channel for a bit, didn't we? I was very confused.
We still have that,
Liam. We still do, Liam. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I was seeing double. That's why I was really confused by what was going on. I was like, oh.
2 channels, both called ValArt. Could be a recipe. I did actually think, I was like, this could be a recipe for disaster. If only because Liam is now on the Discord, blind drunk, and like getting confused because there's 2 channels called the same thing, and only one of them is a public channel. I just thought,
I know.
What's he going to post?
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's like, totally.
But I got it in the end.
It's good though. So yeah, it's been really good just kind of getting my collection accurate so that Liam can't take this anymore.
I'm sure we'll find some leverage, don't worry. I'm sure we'll find some inspiration. So
from what I've seen, Jason, this one seems like it might actually work versus
well,
your
it does
old
help
one
me, by telling me what it is when I upload the image, and then also giving me an idea of what it's actually worth, which is also quite helpful in some situations. So
yeah, I think that, I mean, it's fair to say that this has got plenty of room to grow, hasn't it? This capability.
Yeah, it does.
I've been uploading some things this week, and actually, it's been really interesting because a lot of the kind of classic stuff it does know really well. So, like Beachcomber, I uploaded. Who else did I do? I did a few of them. Abominus, it knew.
Yeah.
Predicate, it knew. No, you see, and then you get too far off the beaten track. Yeah, this is it. It doesn't know some of the more unusual stuff. So it didn't know Lyokaiser, for example. Didn't know what it was. I think it thought it was some other combiner or something like this. So, but it does identify them just as the wrong transform. It didn't know Sandstorm, interestingly. G1 Sandstorm.
It didn't?
Yeah.
No.
Have you tried Heinrad? I was wondering
no,
if
I haven't tried Heinrad.
Sorry, did you mean Tanuki balls?
Exactly.
That's interesting with Leo Kaiser, because I uploaded my boxed Leo Kaiser and it got it, but that's, I think, because it translated what was on the box as well, which is kind of cool.
Do you have multiple Leo Kaisers?
No, I just have that one that I got.
It's just the way you went. I uploaded my boxed one.
The boxed Lyokaiser, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Suggesting the existence of a secondary
Lyokaiser. I just haven't taken it out of the box because I'm too terrified.
Jason, you did just tell a story about buying the same toy twice, so it's not completely out of the realm of possibility.
At that level of purchase cost, you are very aware of buying that for the second time,
I get it. But no, it was fun uploading them, and you just literally upload a photo. Again, for some stuff, I would say 2/3 of it knew what it was so far, and the stuff that it didn't, you just type it in, and I guess then it knows it for the next person or whatever else, or it all kind of feeds in, doesn't it? So
yeah, the more people that are using it, the better as well. And it's cool. It's deeply satisfying, and it feels, compared to what I was using, with the best love and respect to the other developer that built the app, who it's been around for a long time. This one is it's just a lot easier, actually, the way that I've been kind of doing stuff, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So
I would say there's still some stuff that I wish it could do, but equally talking to yourself, Jason, it sounds like some of that is in consideration as well, isn't it? So,
and that's worth mentioning, actually, because that's the whole point. Like getting them, it's early days for ValArt and their team, and it's a very tiny team. So they're talking to like our patrons, and they want to talk to other people about like the stuff that people want in it. Because I've got loads of ideas about what could be added to it, but is it stuff that people want as well? So it's going to improve, but it's always I always love that bit about getting something that just works well, and then you can start tailoring it for what you need it to do as well.
Growing it, yeah,
totally.
Do you think it'd be good for like memorabilia, for like film memorabilia and stuff?
Yeah,
like...
well, that's the thing. It does. Well, hang on, where's he going with this? He's got a cheeky smile.
It was a pun.
No, I'm just curious because I wondered, like, if someone was to say, "Oh, I don't know, just off the top of my head," like, just coming to me, like, just completely apropos of nothing. But...
Wait for it.
So imagine a Val Kilmer fan is all they've got is Val Kilmer stuff. Like, would it like nail it straight away because it's like ValArt, Val Kilmer?
You should get a bonus. Yeah, if you upload anything with Val Kilmer in it, you should immediately get bonus points for your ValArt.
They have an app, don't they? So they could go, "It's the app, right? Chicks love the app."
You're literally doing the marketing now, Liam. This is
So anyway, Studio Series is really interesting toy line. No, I'm joking, but God, Liam, I saw that coming a mile away.
You could just see his little cheeky grin. That's what it was.
A genuine question. I'm just interested as a customer / aficionado of bat nipples. Not customer of bat nipples, but
Yeah, hang on a second. It's very different. What you uploaded?
But this being like cutting edge technology, do you think they'll ever get like a voice version? Because I know the voice they should totally have for it.
Is it Val Kilmer?
Of course it is, yeah. He did the voice of Kit in the Knight Rider reboot / sequel series.
He didn't he?
He was the voice of Kit. He would be... Imagine that. Yes, Michael, your Leo Kaiser is worth beep, whatever it's worth. Yes, your Heinrad testicle toy.
Good God.
And this is why we need feedback, so we can vote on all this stuff.
I am looking forward to uploading more stuff, though, I got to say. And as you said, Jason, it is good to have somewhere to catalogue this stuff that just like isn't an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And it just feels a little bit more slick.
It's a bit more tangible, isn't it? That's the thing. And also, because it's just there, I can be anywhere. Quite often I'm on the train and I'm just kind of like just adding stuff because I've got tons of photos. So
I'm trying not to be too anal about like taking new photos. I'm trying to use existing photos that I have and not be too rigorous about like the photos having to be a particular format or anything like that. Because I know me and I know my sort of stupid perfectionist brain that I'm like, okay, well, this would be great if all the toys were in the same backdrop and kind of really neat.
I know that pain. Yeah,
So I'm trying not to do that because I just create a load of work for myself. But it's still early days for them, definitely. But it does show a ton of promise. So if you do want to check it out, fair to say, go and check it out at valart.co.uk. And we do have a code for that as well, code Triple Takeover, as you would expect. Quite easy to remember that, I hope.
It is.
Yeah, and that does actually get you a little discount as
forget.
well. Yeah, exactly. People might forget. It does get you a little discount on your first 3 months signed up with ValArt as well. So that is totally worth it. Get a little bit of cheeky money off there, and it's not expensive to begin with. So, and kind of get in at the ground floor, as they say, and help this thing grow.
3 months is a good time as well, because that's probably how long it would take you to get all of Transformers on there.
It's going to be a lot longer than that, I can tell you. So, yeah, it's a bit of a big project, that. But I'm looking around now, and I'm like, Christ, there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
But hey, Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. So thanks to ValArt. Do go and give them a look. And we'll talk more about them next time as well. So
I never get that phrase because I always think like, what do they think people think they were building? A Wendy house. It's a town. It's a city. Of course it wasn't built in a day.
But they're saying it wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
No, but which mad person like thought it was that you have to tell someone Rome wasn't built in a day?
Well, I think that's the point, is you're reassuring people that it wasn't built in a day.
We spent a long time on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more than a tent. It's going to take more than a day.
Yeah, but nobody's actually saying it was built in a day, but it's like for when people are trying to take on too much, isn't it? And it's just reminding them that like big things take time.
Oh, yeah. Water doesn't boil on its own. There we go.
What?
Well, it doesn't.
There we go.
I mean, that's
absolute mad nonsense. Of course it doesn't.
Fundamentally a different message. I mean, what? The two are not even nearly comparable.
As a T-shirt.
Is that even a real expression? I mean,
No,
I'm pretty
that's
sure
what I mean, this is
Maz
nonsense
could
expression.
go out
It's
his
like,
door and see some boiling
of course
water on it.
Rome
So
wasn't
just
bought
in one.
today.
anyway, so Studio Series is a really interesting toy line. No, look, let's get on with the show because we should talk about Studio Series. And I think
That
I have
wasn't built in
been.
a day either.
No, it definitely wasn't. It's
True.
been about 7 years. But I have been actually interested to talk about this toy line before. And when the commission came in, it was sort of a good prompt for it. Because I feel like this Studio Series line is one that I've not been completely familiar with myself. I wouldn't say that I own tons of the toys and whatever else, but it has been interesting to watch how it's evolved over time. And I guess the question that I would start this discussion with is to kind of and get us all going is in your guys' minds, what is Studio Series? Like, what does it represent?
So mine's going to be controversial opinion.
Ooh,
So I
careful.
checked in my old database. I have 36 Studio Series toys.
That actually surprises me.
Yeah,
That's a
it
lot more than
surprised
I
me
thought.
as well. But I bought them because of the 86 line. That's why I'm buying them.
So yours is the Studio Series 86 toys.
Yes, except for a few, which I actually got off of you, Sixo, those little prototype Rumble and Frenzy.
Oh yeah, the Rumble
that
and Frenzy. Yeah,
I got those. So I've got a few exceptions to that, but yeah, pretty much all of the ones, that's what I'm buying. And funny story, I haven't opened any of them properly.
Oh my god, you got a bloody toy shop going on.
I have.
Wow.
They're all boxed, and I got them because I got them after I separated from my wife, and then I was buying them in between houses, and I was just like, I would open the box but not take the figure out.
Yeah.
So I've not transformed any of them. I've kind of seen some of them.
So you got like Prime, Magnus, all the big names.
I only recently got. I missed Magnus when it came out, so I ended up buying it recently. And famously, as you two know, got the Grimlock for too much money at TFN one year. Got a seller, and they went around the corner and was like in demand. Had a whole pile of them.
We should say and should sort of specify that actually the 86 portion of Studio Series is not really the focus for tonight, because we did say that we wanted to keep it not kind of pure Studio Series or anything like this, and we will come back to Studio Series.
Well, we
86
did.
and
Yes, that's what we thought we were doing.
Well,
that's not...
yeah, all right. And then someone slapped Gamer Edition on the cover, didn't they? And then it was kind of like
I felt so terrible pointing that out, but I felt
no, you were right to.
We're just going to get people pointing it out.
Yeah.
Because the point of this episode, wasn't it? Like the idea was to talk about Studio Series as a whole,
the whole thing
as a line,
but not as in sort of these sublines, which is Studio Series 86, because that's so massitive. It's its own long thing, and then the Gamer Edition is actually a separate thing. Whereas there are so many things in, like it's understandable why you didn't spot that, because there are so many things thrown into Studio Series.
Well, that's the thing, and I suppose that was why I asked the question: is what is Studio Series, or what does it mean?
That's
now?
what it comes back to. It's movies, isn't it? Really, that's the core nature. Because Transformers 1 is also in there, as is Rise of the Beasts and Bumblebee. They all fit into the canonical numbering system that they established with movies.
They do, but I think it's been expanded now, hasn't it, to be media in general beyond just movies. I think it's more media, because that's where they've brought in the Gamer Edition stuff now. The concept art stuff, I would say, exists slightly outside of the movies as well.
But again, they've got it's the separate numbering, isn't it? That's what always kind of separated it. But it's always been confused, and I think it's confused everyone for a long time, because it's that kind of that thing where it started out with a very specific focus on live action movies. And then it's evolved over time, which makes sense, because the line's been going since 2018.
2018, yeah.
And we're coming up to 10 years on that now. And there's only so many times you can do an Optimus Prime who looks like someone's hit him with a sledgehammer and ran over him 3 times and then vomited in his face. Which is what the Bayverse
Steady on. There's going to be movie fans listening to this, so don't turn them off just yet.
But that's what I mean. It's like people complain about them doing G1 stuff over and over again, and like, how many times do you do it? And to some extent, it's the same with the movies, and they haven't got through all the characters yet, but they keep coming back to certain ones, like how many Bumblebees have they done?
Yeah, that's fair.
For a line, it's not that I'm against people having that who are movie fans. It's that a line has to evolve or it has to end. So it's like it can't just keep repeating film characters. It has to do something different if it needs to continue. Otherwise, it needs to end and be replaced by a new line. But this line has its roots earlier than this, doesn't it? Because there was, I don't know if you remember, the Last Night had the premiere edition
It did, yeah.
of toys where it had its main line and then it's had its premiere edition. And I think that's the genesis for Studio Series. I think when they came up with that, having a separate line of slightly more complex versions of toys than what was the main line, I think they then would have looked at that and gone, this is an idea. Maybe after this line's finished, a bit like Classics, where maybe initially it was only supposed to exist for a little bit. Then it made sense enough for them to go, there's something in here. Let's maybe bring this back.
Yeah, let's keep it rolling.
And I wonder if that's the genesis of how Studio Series came along, because thematically it really fits in with that sort of.
It does. And it makes sense as well, because as the audience for the movies, gets older and everything, and that sort of continues, they're going to get more into kind of collectoriness and everything. And I think when you look at when it started back in 2018, it totally makes sense as a kind of live action movie line predominantly, because when you look at, like, we were coming off the back of Power of the Primes and kind of going into War for Cybertron, and Siege was just about starting at that point, so the main line was very much kind of like going for I would say a G1 focus predominantly. Do you know what I mean? Between the end of Power and the Primes and Siege, that's kind of, even if it wasn't like pure G1 or whatever, that was sort of where that line was at. And so the idea of having another Generations line under the Generations banner, as it were, and having that focused on live action movies, that feels quite separate. You can sort of see that they're doing different things. I think what's interesting is that as Studio Series has evolved, and this is why I think it has got a little bit, I don't know if confused is the word or what it is, but it's definitely expanded its reach, and it has taken on the 86 movie, it has taken on the Gamer Edition stuff, it has taken on concept artwork, and it has actually, I think, now kind of almost taken on the comics a little bit with the Skybound Optimus that's coming up and stuff, which technically is Studio Series, or like an exclusive to Pulse or whatever it is.
Is that listed as Studio Series though?
Well, I don't know is the question. It's on the wiki as one, but
because it's the toy, it's a Studio Series toy. But
yes,
I haven't seen if they
don't know if you count it or not.
Titling of Studio Series, or whether it's just taking a mold. But I assume it is. It would make sense. They've said that somewhere, that they wanted to expand Studio Series into comics. Was a
they have mentioned comics, and like I can see if they're going to do more Skybound stuff, I could see them using Studio Series as a route for that. So I don't know is the honest answer. But I think what's interesting is that as all of that's happened, and it's sort of not moved away from the live action movies, because they are still doing that stuff, and they're going to do Titan Grimlock and stuff like that coming up. So clearly the focus is still on the live action movies as well, but with all of this other stuff. I think what's weird is that it's sort of come closer to where Legacy and Age of the Primes is at now. And if anything, the two are so homogenized that it's almost like, is there a need to have them as separate lines?
Exactly this. It feels redundant, doesn't it?
A little bit.
It does.
I think I understand a lot of people's criticism of it because of that, because it is doing stuff that other lines are doing. And it's like even if you take the idea of it being Studio Series of media, that's any Transformers cartoon, and but then you look at Legacy and that you go, well, they're doing animated toys that look bang on to the cartoon.
Yeah.
So then they're doing the same things, and that's why I can see like the movie fans' criticism of it, like
I can.
All the other things have come in, taking it over. But then in a similar way, that's how, like, when Classics started, wasn't it? People, and they started shifting, and people, like, it's not doing the G1 stuff anymore, and then people had, then it's the same criticisms are being leveled at two lines, which are actually now basically the same.
They're two mirror halves of the same thing. It's weird.
Yeah,
they're doing the same thing of trying to make accurate, reasonably priced toys. To kind of not masterpiece anymore, but that's what Studio Series was billed as, wasn't it? It was like a little bit more than the main line, slightly, higher end kind of.
A little bit more premium.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now it's just like I don't know. It's just the same thing. Two lines doing the same thing.
So that was when you asked about the line, for me, when it started out, I saw it as we had the kind of Generations figures, which were everyday kind of on the shelf stuff. You had Masterpiece, which was your premium grade. And then Studio Series sat in the middle.
Agreed.
Which was like affordable, but a bit more premium, and it was using kind of transformation aesthetics from Masterpiece and even just visual aesthetics, molds, that kind of stuff, but shrinking it down. And that's what the Studio Series 86 line did for me. And there was a quality to it as well. But then I think what happened as well is that we got Generation Legacy and all that now, and that's gone up a level to the transformations are getting a bit more involved, and then the Studio Series has then kind of gone towards that as well. And this has happened, isn't it? Because people are now putting these figures on the same shelf. It's not like before where like, this is clearly Masterpiece, this is clearly Studio Series.
It's exactly that.
Yeah.
Those characters it's the same collection, isn't it? They
are.
Your 86 Bumblebee is essentially the same as your Legacy era Warpath, or whatever, Kingdom Warpath.
Exactly.
They are the same, and that's where it's lost. Studio Series has lost its identity. Because
Absolutely agree. Yeah,
because when those toys started in Studio Series for the movie, they weren't doing movie toys in Generations, so it's just been consumed by Generations to some extent, and it's just that under a different name now. And I think this is why when you're doing the Studio Series 86, you can get away with saying it's the movie, but to all intents and purposes, you're like, well, that's still those toys that are running in that other line as well.
No,
they're both serving the same.
I absolutely
thing
think
we're
so.
all chasing.
I think all that's given them the ability to do, let's be honest, is re-release some of the same
totally.
toys with a new paint job. Toys that were released as part of Legacy or whatever it was that are, given a slight upgrade in terms of paint and then released as an 86 toy, in the Studio Series.
But look at Windcharger. You're like, he's not even, he's in the movie as a dead robot. Like in terms of the version they've actually put into Studio Series, it's not the dead destroyed Windcharger.
No.
That's again where it gets very confusing and weird. And it's like it's not really confusing because we understand what's going on. It's just that kind of thing where you're like, well, now you've taken the identity out of Studio Series and what it was, and you've kind of just merged all these things together. And,
I think it got weird to me at the point of Kingdom when they did the Studio Series 86 line was going, and so you had like Studio Series Jazz and whatever else, and you had Studio Series you had Studio Series Scourge, but then you had Kingdom, Cyclonus, and Galvatron.
Yeah.
And it's like clearly these three toys are meant to work together.
Totally.
Very clearly.
Yeah.
And you had Studio Series Hot Rod and Kingdom Rodimus. And it's like clearly these toys are meant to kind of sit together. There's no question. But you've put them across different lines, and it sort of really blurred the water a little bit because it was like, okay, these two lines are obviously running concurrently. They're meant to sit on the shelf. It's not even like, fans are putting them on the shelf together. I don't think. It's like Hasbro are making them and marketing them in a way that they clearly can work together. And then you've got repaints crossing the streams as well, because Studio Series Jazz has been repainted in the kind of goldy color for the Generation 2 version, released as a Legacy capsule. You've got various instances of that happening with repaints from Studio Series crossing over into the main line as well. And as I say, stuff like Blaster, which was, what was it, Kingdom Blaster, that was repainted as the Studio Series Blaster, so...
But then you've got them saying, the team saying on the streams as well, like these new Seekers, they're to replace your Earthrise Seekers,
Which is really confusing.
Yeah, it's so confusing. Yeah.
But it's like, we get it. We know it's what the point of it is. It's just, again, it just kind of feels like it's doing Studio Series a disservice because it feels more than anything like a lot of it seems to come down to the idea is we want to make this many characters. There's not enough room in Generations or Studio Series on their own, so one is acting as almost like an overflow for the others. It's like, we'll call it Studio Series 86 to celebrate the movie. And it's like, that's great for people like us, but it's like, it's not a separate line, really. I don't feel like. I think the name is
not at all
there. Like Buzzworthy Bumblebee, we'll come to that at some point with this also madness. You're like, it's not a separate line because it's just getting other toys from Earthrise and stuff with different like decos or re-releases of old Studio Series toys. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like marketplace confusion to people coming in. I can imagine it's like a nightmare looking at this going, oh my god, there are all these myriad lines and they all look the same because they are, but then for people like us who know what it's like, it's like it makes sense. It's just I'm focused on trying to buy these type of versions of characters now rather than a line, if you know what I mean. That's the way it goes. It's like I'm not picking up things from one line, I'm just picking up those type of characters that appear across multiple lines, but they fit that mold type.
So that's the thing for me that has happened recently where, and it goes back to me trying to catalog my Transformers, is I got so confused with the aerial bots thinking that they were Studio Series, but they're actually part of Age of the Primes.
Yeah, because they're not in the movie.
Because they're not in the movie.
That's
exactly.
the only distinction.
That's the only distinction. But they and it's the same with the
Where were they?
The Stunticons, and look at Kingdom Galvatron, and then we have Studio Series Galvatron.
Same toy.
Which is exactly the same toy. I have 2 of them now because I'm an idiot, aren't I? I've been suckered in.
Jason,
being
so
a
do
sucker,
I.
yeah.
So don't worry.
Yeah, and it's like, but I'm running out of space, and I was like, what is? And I genuinely go online to try and work out what are the differences between these right now, and there aren't any. It is literally a branding exercise.
Yeah. I mean, they do have different paint jobs. I mean, I must admit, the Galvatron, I was never quite sure about the purple that they'd used on the Kingdom one.
Yeah, the Studio Series is better.
Yeah, something about it.
I love both. I really love both.
It didn't quite work for me. I must admit, when I saw the Studio Series one at MCM, and Evan was there, and I was chatting with him about it, and I was like, oh man, I have to get this. It looks so good. And lo and behold, I have it, and it's great. So I'm really pleased with it. And so I do think there's a bit of pick and choose. But what I do find quite funny, though, is that like we've got friends like our mate, other Jason, for example, I think is this way, where he's very much like, I collect Studio Series, but not, like mainline Generations as such. And so for him, there's very much like a clear line in the sand, that if it's Studio Series 86, he'll pick it up, but not, Legacy or Age of the Primes or whatever. And I understand that, because ultimately they are different lines, I guess. But the sort of crossover is so much to me now that like it really is just a name on the box at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's branding, and it is, and they do look like that. I love that 86 look and the way that they've done it and all that kind of thing. But where I find this interesting is how when we've talked about Masterpiece, and how in my mind the Studio Series has, is it fair to say it's devalued Masterpiece, or it's made my decision to buy a Masterpiece. I spend more time thinking, it's like, do I want the Masterpiece version?
Yeah,
because the Studio Series one is like, they're so well sculpted and they look beautiful, and you can see the influence of the Masterpiece version kind of simplified down to the Studio Series for some of them as well.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, certainly, I think when you look at something like the Prime, Optimus Prime, I get more pleasure out of transforming the 86 Optimus than I do MP44. Do you know what I mean? And I like transforming MP44. Don't get me wrong, that's not a critique, but I know that I'm more likely to pick up the 86 one. Yeah, maybe a little bit. But it's a fair point. And I think you are right that, like you, I always saw Studio Series as kind of the in-between. That's how I historically always thought of it, especially when I wasn't really paying attention to it in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like when it first started around the sort of 2018, 2019, I was like, oh, it's just kind of this midpoint between full-blown Generations and Masterpiece. And I was picking up a lot of the MPM stuff at the time. And so, for example, when they did, it was after, but when they started announcing stuff like MPM Blackout, I was really interested to see how it compared to the Studio Series toy that already existed, and you could sort of see, obviously there was the size difference, but a lot more complexity and things as well. But I always thought that the Studio Series releases of the live action movie designs looked really good by and large, and that actually they had clearly paid a lot of attention to that sort of like screen accuracy and whatever else, and
scale as well. To try
scale,
to maintain
scale was a big thing.
That's what the first time we started seeing that. I think in some ways where the bots were a quite a consistent scale, where deluxe class figures of different characters were varying heights.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, very good point.
Yeah, which is really something when you think about it, because it's not a given. And not easy to do in Transformers, because it fudges it so much.
Yeah,
but I think all of these elements felt quite unique to Studio Series, and it felt like it had at that early point much more of an identity as a line in its own right. And I think, what's interesting is, do you guys know why it's called Studio Series?
No, I don't.
Because it's focused on movies.
No, I didn't know this either. It was only in preparation for tonight that I finally learned why it's actually called Studio Series. I had no clue, but apparently it's because of the little backdrops that they no longer actually, but
like
they were including. Yes, so the whole concept of the line is like, they obviously noticed that people, don't know who, that people were taking toy photos, doing toy photography online and posting pictures and using backdrops and things like this. So they decided to come up with this line where they could include those little backdrops in the boxes as like a little mini studio the box, with the backdrop and everything.
Little
And
diorama. Cool.
Yeah, a little diorama, and that people could use it in that way. And I
They
think
did
that
it for a
is
long
such
time
a
as well.
cool idea. Well, that actually is a really interesting point, because that has also gone by the wayside. So the numbering, which was really unique to Studio Series, the numbering of the individual toys, even with 86 when they did this sort of separate numbering, was still a thing, and the backdrops were still a thing. And it's only really been this last year with the most recent packaging refresh, which interestingly also brings it way further in line with Age of the Primes than any previous, iteration or anything. So it's almost like the identity of Studio Series and what it was originally conceived as is no more, because they don't do the backdrops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So it's, to me, it becomes really weird, actually. And I agree with you, Liam. It's like we all understand the logic of it as collectors, but coming in, it's or for kids even.
I don't know if I do, if I'm honest, because I do find myself standing in Smith's looking at the lines. So again, it's like, we've got all the Combaticons coming out, and genuinely, and I think it's because they come in the same windowed boxes as well.
Yeah.
So I am struggling to work out, like, line is that part of? And let's be honest, like, kids are just going to rip it open and chuck the box. So it doesn't really matter.
Kids don't care.
I think that's kind of where we've reached, is this point now where I don't think the line matters. I think we all collect characters as such. So even if they spread the Combaticons across 5 different lines, it wouldn't matter that much, because we just look for where to get that character, and then the box goes in the bin. Nobody cares about the lines anymore. There's no real like prestige to something being from a line. Like Age of the Primes, well, there were 3 legacy things, weren't there? There was Evolution, Legacy, United.
That was so confusing. Yeah,
but like in the cold light of day, what does it matter? And when you talk about it now, how often do you talk about what line that character came from? It's just like, oh look, it's a animated Optimus Prime that came from Legacy. That's all you say at the most. Or you talk about it as a Generations toy. That's mostly what it's talked about. Those lines aren't really important. That's just for them refreshing in supermarkets and shops, isn't it? For them to go, hey, look,
it's a package refresh thing. Yeah,
it's not actually for the fans anymore, that sort of stuff.
Do you know the thing that kind of epitomizes that, I feel like, is the fact that in my database, under Generations, I have 300 figures in there. And when you look at it, it's Age of the Primes, Buzzworthy Bumblebee, Combiner Wars, Fall of Cybertron, Generations, Generations Select, Legacy, blah, blah. It keeps going. The Generations line, as a line, is massive.
It is massive. I must admit that people do sort of take it to the zenith of the whole thing, though, because I've noticed that sometimes you get people, and forgive me because I don't know if these are accurate or not, but people will say like, oh, that's United Galvatron. And I'm like, what? And then it sort of has to click in my brain that they mean Legacy United. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
people refer to this sort of individual bit.
But these lines, this is what we've done as fans, I think, is like if you look back, even as you go back and say, Titan's Return. So that was one of the last ones where there was really like a very clear and obvious gimmick that defined the line, because now we've had Evo Fusion and stuff like that, but even that stuff, it's really unintrusive. It's not important and it's not central to the line. It's just almost like a gimmick that they've just thrown in, not they haven't thought about it way. It's designed in a way that you don't have to acknowledge it, whereas Titan's Return was. Power of the Prize was to some extent as well, but then since then, everything's shifted into generation-style versions of characters, like accurate versions. And Studio Series, that's whole central conceit was like those kind of versions of movie characters, and that gimmick's gone as well now to some extent, because they're flooding with other things that shouldn't really be there.
I can understand. I'm going to hold my hands up and say, I can understand why some fans are annoyed about it, because I think if you're putting yourselves in the shoes of someone who, you're a movie fan, you grew up on the live action movies, you maybe had some of the toys when you were younger or whatever else, and now they were doing or have been doing and still are, but they're doing these sort of slightly more premium high-end versions of those characters, but they're like the most accurate versions that have been done in toy form. That's pretty exciting. Yep. And then I can understand it from the perspective of someone at that age and that point getting what they want, and then seeing, a bunch of 40-year-olds being rewarded with more G1. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Even if I I also understand why Hasbro are doing more G1, and obviously I'm pleased to see it. I do get the perspective of that fan that might look at it and be like, well, hang on a minute, I had my thing. Why does it have to be, infested by this other thing? Do you know what I mean? Particularly when Generations is the main line of Generations, Legacy, Age of the Primes, whatever, is also doing those same G1 characters as well.
Yeah, I think Hasbro have cottoned on to there's a value to the name Studio Series.
Yes.
In a way that there hasn't been since Generations, because Generations is effectively, the name's gone now. It's not Generations anymore. It's Age of the Primes or whatever, isn't it? Because they've even taken the thing off the box where it used to say Generations down the side. That's gone. Generations as a line is effectively dead, and it's replaced by other lines.
My database wrong? Oh no!
What a shocker!
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time, Jace. Don't worry about it.
I'm waiting for Jason to tell us I spent £75 on a core class figure 50 years ago.
Yeah,
I did.
exactly.
But I think that's what's going on with Studio Series is I think they've realised the name is too valuable to let go of. So the only way to really keep hold of the name is to evolve it by putting other stuff in the meantime of trying to work out what else to do with it. Because if they hadn't put these other lines in, I don't think it would have continued. Because, like I say, you're at 105 toys. What we were talking about earlier, there's more than that.
Yeah. The numbers.
We're talking about like a Mirage from Rise of the Beast. Was Rise of the Beast, wasn't it? 105. And you think there weren't that many characters across 6 or 7 movies, really. And there's only so much you can keep going back to the world of that. And that same criticism applies to G1 style characters, which shows you them doing it. But I don't think you could keep knocking out the movie characters at the same rate as you can the G1 characters. Because I don't think the same appetite for that is in the fandom. Like we know the movies were more successful than G1 and all this stuff, but they were more successful to a wide audience. Like in terms of a hardcore audience, G1 people we all just constantly buy those characters. It's what we always do. There are fans of the movies like that, but I don't think there's the same huge appetite for those characters.
That's interesting. I hadn't really considered it, in that sort of specific way of framing it, if you like. So, I mean, I think what is noticeable, and again, just being objective about it, is that when you kind of look at what Studio Series 86 has done to the lineup, you can sort of say, oh, well, they're still making the movie toys. But actually, I mean, 2020, you had a deluxe class, what is it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it's 10 deluxe class toys in 2020, all live action movie focused.
Then they stopped.
Well, and that's the thing. And then the next year, you've got it's at least 3, 4. I think it's 4 of the deluxes are Studio Series 86, and so it brings the live action movie ones down to 5 deluxe. So it's literally half. So in that regard, and that's just one example. There are others, of course, but it is not unfair to say that 86 has taken over or sort of land grabbed the space that has been used previously for the live action stuff.
It is, but I suppose then the question becomes has Studio Series 86 and G1 knocked the movie toys out of the limelight, or were they just slowing down and stopping anyway and needed something else to fill the void and carry on the line? Because this is a constant thing we talk about. It's people going, oh, why have they done this character? They still haven't done this, as if that's blocked it. And I wonder if that's the thing. Like, I can see from your perspective, if you're a movie fan, that's how it might look. But I wonder if from a business point of view, like Hasbro might have looked at going, we're running low, the world's running dry on movie toys now. We need to give it a rest. How else can we keep this name going? Rather than them going, let's just put these in at the expense of movie toys that we were going to do. And now you're starting to see the movie toys come back in because there's been a little bit of a gap again, and people's appetite.
That's fair. Actually. Yeah.
I don't know that, but I just wonder.
Yeah, it's a good point, though, Liam, because, and you said it as well, Sixo, that the Studio Series as a name for a brand, it's a really good name. I do, just Studio Series. It's the alliteration. It sounds good, doesn't it? It's a really nice combination of words, and it works well, and it has a premium sound to it, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does.
Quality to it, so you can understand from a brand point of view that Hasbro want to hold on to that
and keep it going.
Yeah, exactly. So it is. I think that's a kind of fair comment, which is like, all right, well, we need to extend this out. So why don't we just kind of calm down here, bring in some of these, and it's that's when we get the release of the Transformers 1 stuff as well.
Well, this is it. Well, I mean, that is worth talking about. I did just want to say on 86, we know from Evan, he's confirmed, and I think it was when he was on the podcast with us, he said as much, but he certainly said it anecdotally since then as well, that the 86 stuff the sales are really, really good. Very strong
Exactly,
sellers.
I remember that.
So they're not going to stop doing that. And so it's no surprise that they're kind of mining that film for all it's worth and doing, oh, Windcharger was a dead body, let's do him. Do you know what I mean? And they've even talked about doing stuff, from concept art for that as well, like, because there's concept art or deleted scenes and things like this. And they've talked about doing some of that also. And it doesn't surprise me, because if the sales for the 86 stuff is so good, it does maybe sort of suggest that your point is right, Liam, that they saw an opportunity and they were like, actually, we can bolster this line a little bit, and it's a business decision. I do think it's good, though, that they're coming back, and clearly they are trying to listen, because the fact that we're getting the Titan Dinobots is
that's
crazy,
cool.
but really cool. I think it's great that they're doing that, and I think that is a real nice nod back to the movie fans to kind of go, we haven't forgotten.
We've not forgotten about you. Yeah,
even totally. I thought that was cool to see, and I wonder if a few years ago, if they'd have done it, if they just kept going, whether the excitement would be there. I think this is one of the things the movie toys are benefiting from here, is again a renewed kind of like, oh, we haven't seen this for a while. We've just had G1. Let's see something new again, because I don't know if you remember, but in like the early days of Studio Series, those toys would sell out and the prices would skyrocket. Like I remember the is it Jetwings Optimus Prime? The one that converts with the trailer? That came out early on, and then the prices went up on that for ages.
Yeah.
Every time they re-release it now, it tends to sit. And you see a lot of that with the re-releases of Studio Series toys. And even some of the ones where they're going back and redoing characters. You look at Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime, it comes in, it disappears out of stock straight away. Even the smaller characters, there are some, like Shotguns, that's knockabout for ages. But even a lot of the smaller characters, they go. And then you look at a lot of the movie toys, and then you see them now. I've noticed it more and more. Like the Rise of the Beasts Optimus, when that first came out, went quickly. Now you can pick it up discounted everywhere.
Oh, it's everywhere. Yeah,
Bumblebee Optimus, like the price flew up on it. And again, it's like when they come back to a lot of these characters, you're like, well, they just seem to go cheaper. So I wonder if that was part of their thinking, is maybe the excitement's going down a little bit. Maybe let's just keep mining the one that everybody still just will throw money at relentlessly. Give it a break, then come back, because like we're saying there about the name, that name is so good. Studio Series as a line,
it is good.
and the stuff they are shoehorning in at the minute, like with the Devastation stuff and the Gamer Edition, it feels like that stuff should and would have been in the other lines if they weren't struggling to find something else to put in the Studio Series things, or if there wasn't a deliberate idea to kind of pad it out for a bit and then give it a rest as the movie stuff. Because the game stuff is, I love that stuff, but that it's no different to like some of the other stuff they've put into Legacy and Generations. It's more in the spirit of that, and it doesn't make sense if you're just looking at Studio Series as a defined line by one thing. It only makes sense for that to be there if they are just doing Generations style stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I completely agree with that, because the gamer stuff could very well just be its own little capsule or whatever else. It could just be like a little sideline thing, much as they've done with like Generations Comic Edition and things like this, which and that's sort of strange, because equally the Comic Edition stuff, you could argue, could that sit under Studio Series, and kind of expand it out further?
Absolutely. That did confuse me, but did we not get, because we got the concept Sunstreaker within this, that was Studio Series, wasn't it?
That was,
that one. And then we also got some of the War for Cybertron figures done within
the Gamer Edition.
The Gamer Edition.
Gamer Edition stuff as well. So that whole blurring, and it whether it was labeled as Studio Series, it kind of became less relevant, because then it was just like that was the confusion, I think, at that point when I started going, I thought these were just 86 movie. And that's because, as I said at the beginning, that was my entry point for this stuff as well.
And I think what's really mad is that it's not even like, because people talk about 86 as an example, as like a separate line, and I think some fans genuinely believe that Studio Series 86 is a thing, like in quotes, like that's the name of a separate sort of sub-brand of Studio Series where all the 86 characters sit. And it's not, because it's all just Studio Series. There is no line or subline called Studio Series 86.
Totally.
The characters historically have had a different numbering. So they've been like, what were they called? 86 dash whatever.
But that's what I mean. So that's where the Studio Series 86 thing comes, isn't it? I think
that's the only...
You're taking... It's like Studio Series Gamer Edition. These are... separated by these branches.
But just a little number. That's the only difference, though. That's the thing. It's not like like a separate line as such. And it's a little bit akin to what they did with Beast Wars in Masterpiece. Where they bring them in, but it's like MP32 is a Beast Wars release. Even more so, I guess, in that case, because they didn't even alter the numbering. But it is funny, and I think what's telling now is having dropped the numbering holistically for the whole line. So in 2025 and 26, certainly from 26, actually, I think it is. There is no more numbering. So if you look at what's coming up now, you've got, I think just got it here, Deluxe Class, so Wave 30, you've got Arachnid from Transformers 1, Barricade from The Last Night, and Windcharger from the 86 movie, but they're not numbered at all. So actually it means that moving forward, it's going to be even more sort of homogenized, if you like. So Gamer Edition, whatever else, it's not called that anymore.
It's actually a shame, because as confused as numbering was, you will now have multiple Studio Series Bumblebees, for example, rather than the shorthand you would use before, or stuff like that. People who collect that stuff would use before. But even within the movie characters, there's like, I think is Studio Series 01 Bumblebee, and then there's like 08 is number 8 is I think it is, and they're all from the different films, but there's a designation to it. And I think that added something to it to start with, like something as a collector, that you like this kind of numbering system, which now
absolutely
has gone so far. Like the masterpieces, we refer to so many of them by the shorthand of the numbers, because it's ingrained with it, and I think that's what they were trying to go for. And now it's just got so big, it's kind of and confusing.
It's just kept going.
I think this is a really interesting point, though, because I'm someone that likes numbers, and I like, like we number. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, man, it really appeals to a part of my brain. I mean, like, obviously, we number our episodes, and this is episode, 100 and whatever it is, 17. And I think that's interesting, because I've been told a few times, in terms of like social media and stuff, hey, don't number your stuff, because actually it doesn't help with like algorithms and all of that kind of stuff. And, from trying to get eyes on content, if people see, oh, this is number 117 or whatever, that it's a little bit of a turn off, because it implies that there's like you've missed all of this other stuff.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good point.
I do think that certainly that's something that, like, in comics world, you've seen a lot of, because they keep going back to number 1 and things like this. And I mean, that has really become a joke in comics now, honestly, because it's like they just reboot all the time. Not even like a continuity reboot, just a new number 1. And I do wonder if you're right, and they got up to the point where it's like 110 or whatever it was that they got to with Studio
113.
Series.
James Roberts' favourite number.
Maybe so.
maybe that's why they stopped.
His fault.
They hit that.
Did they even get to 113? I'd love to know, funny. Actually. Yeah, I need to look it up. But I do wonder if they did. 113 was Skywarp, Bumblebee Skywarp.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But so it's James Roberts and Thew's favourite thing combined. So how's that? But I do wonder if they just looked at the numbers and they just went, this is going to be off-putting now. This has got too big.
Yeah.
Because that's well in advance of Masterpiece even. And if maybe it's just a bit too intimidating.
I think it's also that bit about just starting to track all this stuff as well. And I don't know if you guys can explain this to me, but where I am also confused is we got Studio Series Perceptor, but then we got Perceptor with Ram and Ratbat.
Yep.
Which is also Studio Series.
Studio Series Perceptor.
And I'm like, this and that. I'm like, is this a? I was so genuinely confused when
Jason,
I was looking at it.
I'll clue you in, mate. It's the same toy with a bit of retooling and a new head and a new paint job and
stuff.
A couple of
cassettes.
And a couple
new
of
chest,
cassettes.
Which is
new
weird.
Chest.
Like, I didn't know that till our friend Fancy Dan pointed it out.
It was Dan.
And then I looked at it and went, it took me ages of looking at it going, it looks bigger, but it looks like exactly the same, because it's all the same details. But it turns out it is different. And it's wild.
But the reason I kind of flagged this one is there's a bit of a why in me at that point. Which is like, why are we doing that, Hasbro? Because that is, well, money, one thing. But
that's why, yeah.
But we're trying to remove
You're answering your own question.
Yeah, I know, because I bought both, didn't I?
Bullseye.
Just like it is. But it does. It kind of slightly dilutes the line there as well, because if you are doing this based on that numbering, then if I'm like, well, I need to get rid of one of those Perceptors, or then I'm going to have a gap. And that's where it breaks.
Okay, so this is really interesting as well. And I think all of this about the numbering, it might seem a bit trivial. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm someone that recycles Generations packaging. I don't keep it, all of that. So I was never fussed personally about the distinction between not generations, legacy, Age of the Primes, Studio Series. It doesn't matter to me. Do you know what I mean? It's a name on the box. I can live without it. That's fine. But I do also appreciate that other people collect
Yeah.
differently, and I do also understand, and I have seen pictures of some people that collect the boxes and line them all up, and there are fans out there that had all the Studio Series toys lined up really neatly with like the numbers in sequential order and things like this, a bit like we've seen people do with the TFC Transformers collection reissues.
Exactly.
You know, exactly like that.
This is me. You're describing me.
Right.
That is. I've got a loft full of boxes.
It's really nice. It looked great. Honestly, there was someone that posted a picture. I wish I could remember who to credit them, but they had literally all of the Studio Series line, sort of almost like books, you know, sort of turned on the side or what have you with the numbers and stuff. And it looked really, really good. And I can understand why folks like that would look at it now and be like, okay, so I've got 86 toys as well, separate numbering, so maybe that's okay. But now also there's concept art stuff and there's stuff that I don't care about. And some toys are getting slightly different makeovers, but then as a new number. And now we've got rid of the numbers. And it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, what am I collecting now?
The Studio Series and Game Edition you can put off to a side because they're separate numbers. But it's getting clinky. But there's the thing about numbers is I'm not that fussed about them in terms of how I collect stuff, but I like them because there's a lineage to it. Like the vintage toys when you first discover Japanese Transformers and you're like, oh,
C01
and there's an irony to the fact that they've binned off the numbers in the aftermath of having a Transformers movie with a character called D16, which is named after the numbering system in Japan.
It's very true.
But there's a lot of stuff like that. It's crazy, but there's something to that still. Like when we were talking about the Takara collection, the book boxes, and
that's why I'm buying them.
Yeah,
I'm buying them for they look so good. It's our friend Sid when he showed that on his shelf. He had them all lined up.
That picture was dangerous.
Looks lovely.
It's
so
not
good.
like definitively important, but it looks nice, and it's kind of something about it. It just adds a little bit of extra, I think, gravitas to it. Almost like when you see that,
Completely.
you feel like it's part of a whole more than being an individual toy.
I completely agree with that, and I think as a collector-orientated line, that was what it was doing initially. You know, and I suppose I don't mean it as a critique necessarily, but it's hard to not feel that something has sort of been abandoned a little bit there. You know, just in terms of Studio Series as a line. I hate to be all like, oh, the purity, you know, and all of this. But when you consider what it started with, the whole kind of like backdrop idea of 4 collectors that are going to take pictures of this stuff, and it's numbered, and it's about the live action movies. Objectively, you can't really look at it now and say that it's the same as what it was. Do you know what I mean? I don't think.
Oh no,
I don't think you
miles
can.
away.
Yeah, and it's a shame because we don't have that anymore. Where we had. In Masterpiece, we could do that, but no, Masterpiece has now gone to the new letters numbering system as well. Yeah, exactly. But you know, and I remember you, Sixo, having all the different Masterpiece boxes.
And you had the cars that row.
They were
car boxes are spectacular.
I've got those as well, and they look so. They're such nice boxes with that kind of relief and the way it looks, and that's part of it. And I suppose this goes back to when I was a kid because I moved around a lot and. Everyone chucks their boxes. So ironically, it becomes that box, the cardboard that is the bit that there's a value for older toys. Everyone's doing it now, so it's different. But this is also a thing that's changed in the fact that when, as I said earlier, you go into your Smiths or your Entertainer or whatever toy shop that you frequent, and you look at it, and all of the boxes look very similar now. You have to look really closely to tell the difference between Age of the Primes, Studio Series, you know, that kind of stuff.
That I don't think is bad necessarily. I gotta say, like purely from a toy shop perspective, which is where these things, you know, a lot of it will be done online, fine, but there is also the toy shop sort of, you know, retail presence perspective as well. And actually having slightly more consistent packaging in that regard, I don't think is a bad thing. I've shared pictures before online, and I stand by this, that I remember going into Smiths, and it's just one example here in the UK, but having a very well-stocked Transformers section and seeing Rise of the Beast packaging, Studio Series, Buzzworthy Bumblebee, you know, whatever was the current, whatever the current main line of generations was at that point, Legacy, whatever. You know, you had various different things, and Beast Wars reissues as well.
Yeah.
There was other stuff, and genuinely, this one photo is insane because there's like at least, I would say, 6 or 7, if not like 8 different packaging styles on probably 8 to 10 shelves, like in a very sort of tall, thin, display. I mean, tall enough that I couldn't reach the top of it. Let's put it that way. And I think it had like some of the Titans up the top and whatever. But it's just kind of mad because as a kid running down the aisle, we all talk all the time about, I mean, you can't shut Liam up about it, about the Sunburst packaging back in the 80s and going into a toy shop and being, look,
the best.
there you go.
Yeah,
special.
That's a fair point. Yeah, the
Special,
consistency of it.
The consistency, but something that's visually appealing and impactful, but also has that consistency. And other toy brands do this, right? Because I can guarantee you, my boy, when we go to that Smith's, I'll be honest, he loves Transformers and he loves getting them. And, he's just been so excited to get his Soundwave and this kind of stuff. But he almost runs past the Transformers bit and he's like Jurassic Park. Do you know what I mean? Because it's all consistent packaging. It's got that impact in the toy store. And it's just like, wow, and it really kind of draws their little eyes in a way that Transformers doesn't.
So I agree with that. I agree that I think the current packaging though for the lines, which is the black with a window, isn't that interesting. But the Cyberverse stuff, no, the new kids line that's come out, Cyberworld.
Oh,
that pops when you see that. It's really nice, bright colors, all that kind of stuff. That's the type of stuff as a kid you're walking along and you're like, whoa, look at this candy colored packaging. That's cool.
Certainly the Scorponok actually did catch his eye, I will say. So, surprise. I would say that I do think that they've made some, and I've mentioned this before on the Twitter or whatever, but I do think some of the new packaging, some of the graphic design bits are better than what they had in things like the Transformers logo is no longer orientated up to the side. It's actually at the correct orientation so that you can read Transformers. And it's the biggest thing now on the box.
Still uses that terrible font though, like that Transformers.
It's not my favorite logo,
boring,
but it is boring.
Corporate.
It's very corporate.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think that's what it is. It's quite corporate, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's so plain compared to the plethora of logos they had for the years, like the RID era, G1, all these Armada, all of these different eras of cool logos, and they have chosen the most boring, flat, standard corporate brand.
It is very corporate.
I think with the packaging as well, like one of the consequences of things gearing so much toward collectors is this now, because no other toy line, like Jurassic Park was a good example, but Jurassic Park sort of rises and falls with the movies.
Yes.
So it's kind of tied to something. Whereas now, Transformers isn't. There are so many toy lines that are giving us what we want because we have shaped that over the years since classics. The fans have been there going, give us this. And Hasbro have acquiesced to that over the years because they've realized that's where a lot of money is. And it's hard to compare Transformers to other toy lines because it isn't like other toy lines. Like none of them have sustained in the way Transformers has for these last 20 years. Like every year there has been tons of different Transformers in for different segments. And there's no other toy line like that. If you look at like the Marvel stuff that's in the shops, it's either Marvel Legends for adults or some other stuff. But it's not like this. There's not the volume of Transformers. And I think that's because I don't think another brand has been so shaped in a way by collectors and children at the same time. It's so split that they are trying to serve everybody. And so you are getting all of these different things, but they also have to serve shops, and the way to get the stuff into shops is to be like, here's a refresh, here's this, so they are having to spam different things for different
you really
crowds.
See that as well, I think,
you do.
That split focus.
If you look at Turtles and all these other things, they are usually tied to something, and there's a smaller volume of them in comparison to the amount of lines ongoing with Transformers. And I think it's easy to look at that and go, kids are confused by this, but at the same time, I think that's right. And also it shouldn't be that way, but I think it is just a consequence of those characters now, because it is the 86 characters, and even the movie characters are from nearly 20 years ago, some of them. So even that stuff, it's not stuff for kids. And like the Jurassic Park stuff, they do throw a lot of old stuff in there, but it's big dinosaurs, and then it's characters from the new films. Transformers isn't just like characters from the newest stuff. It's constantly
goes back over
40-year-old. Like we're getting a new Wind Charger. We have had God knows how many gears and all the, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, yeah,
there's a
yeah.
sea spray. That's not a character from
true,
a kids
yeah.
show in 2025.
Well, what is the current thing that kids would be interested in? Because Transformers 1
Yeah.
was over a year ago, and
Yeah.
the cartoon.
Well, that's where the cyber world comes in, doesn't
Well,
it?
I was going to say, but the cyber world has its own dedicated toy line. So actually, in many regards, why should kids care about Transformers?
Yeah.
But Transformers 1 as well, that toy line always felt like it was actually infringing on
Yeah.
the studio series and the
Well, it
generations
didn't
and
have
the other toy
it
lines.
didn't have its own style to it and
And its
everything.
best figures were in the studio series toy line. Like
Yeah,
the rest of them were kind of
totally.
like, it almost felt like they were just kind of thrown in there for the sake of it. It's like, oh.
So what you were saying a minute ago, Liam, though, and when other brands that have successfully done this, the one that sprung to mind for me is Lego have done it very well. Lego get a dedicated entire aisle, and I will walk down and I will get presented by Lego City, Harry Potter, Star Wars, adult collecting stuff, and then the creative stuff.
Yes.
And that is the order it's in. And it is a rainbow of absolute beauty, and it's a joy to go down it, right? Now, Transformers Hasbro aren't going to get that same level, but I currently look at that bit and it's all just the same. And I feel that's a bit of a shame. And I think that's at the moment where, like, even the confusion that we've had tonight about, like, yeah, this is Studio Series, but what? And then we got Legacy, and it's all kind of just amalgamated into this one.
I see what you're saying. I think the answer here really is that perhaps they either need to put it all in the same pot and just let it sit, or they need to make it more distinct again. They kind of need to take it further back to what it was or something else, or and kind of evolve it
Studio
away.
Series,
yeah, and make it more distinct. I don't know.
I think they need to take it all back and just make it all generations, and then have a segment like they did with Titan's Return, where 2 years you'll have one, which is enough time for shops to cycle through it, and then the next thing comes in, and then that's your collector branded area. It's all one area of stuff rather than Studio Series and whatever the generation stuff is, because there's so much of it.
Yeah,
and then you have your kids focused section, don't you, of whatever the new show is and stuff like that. But I do think it's harder with Transformers, Jason, because those toys they are still making are still kids' toys in a way that
it's fair.
Like Lego is a different beast because it
really
makes
is.
toys for kids, and it's about graduating up, isn't it? Effectively, that's where you go.
Yeah,
the complicated stuff for adults, and it's in a different sphere, but you recognize the difference between it. Whereas Transformers now, like those generations toys, like as much as we're all collectors buying them, they still at their core are making them
aimed at kids,
for kids,
Yeah.
even though kids aren't buying them because they don't know who they are. And that's what I mean. The identity seems to be really confused on all counts because they know what they're doing and we know what it's for. But at the same time, it's still having to be like, hey, kids shops, here's some kids' toys that aren't really bought by kids. It's still having to jump through these silly hoops to get into Walmart and stuff like that.
But it is an interesting point, which goes back to toy manufacturers, companies like Hasbro know that there are adult collectors out there now as well. And Masterpiece, it's never been labeled like Lego have done, adult collector line, right? And they've never done that yet. And I find that quite interesting as well, because one, why not? And also, what if?
Yeah. I think Masterpiece is sort of unwritten for adults, isn't it?
Yeah, but you don't get that in Smiths. You got to buy that on the ones that we know, like Power.
But with Masterpiece exists in a very different price bracket, and I think that's the thing that's really makes this difficult in some ways for Hasbro, which is a silly thing to say because they're making those. And I know price of things are expensive now, but you look at these and you're still like they are still priced as kids' toys for kids, and they're having to kind of like push it out to please all these people, and it's like as much as it sounds stupid saying it. Companies don't make cheap collector toys, do they?
No.
The collector versions of toys like Masterpiece are higher end. It comes with this connotation of you instantly associate with being a higher end item. If they were putting out these like Studio Series, we'd still all lap it up, but it doesn't fit into that space as a high end collector toy. It's a very confusing situation. But I think we've all created it in a way. It's not just Hasbro. They've just tried to cash in, which is what they do. Whilst we have, like, from classics on, we have constantly pushed. Because if you remember, like, Universe, they were doing different versions of characters. And it was constantly, it's not G1 enough. And it's been shaped in a way now where we have, as adults, have taken over.
We have invaded the
toy
space.
lines because we've taken those spaces where we had Masterpiece, which was supposed to be what this stuff was really for us, and we've kind of gone, we want the cheaper version as well.
we want the
that-
mass market version.
that
And
is
we've
exactly
twisted
it.
that to
Yep.
be
That is
this
exactly
release,
it.
because like we see with the studio series thing, the complaint of people now is, why am I not getting these characters from the movie? And it's like, well, this is still a cheap toy line, and it's 20 years old almost. We're coming up on 20 years since the 2007 movie.
I think as well, what has happened is that Masterpiece has got more expensive. And as we've all talked about it, do you know what I mean? And someone will always say, "Oh, it's inflation," but some of this is beyond inflation. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely,
well beyond inflation. Let's be
God
fair.
bomber.
Yeah. Well, I think when you look at, I mean, I know it's not the topic for tonight, but it was really interesting seeing that new Power of the Prime's Predaking reissue that's coming up, which is an inflation-busting increase on that. Let me tell you. Do you know
How
what I
much
mean?
is it? I didn't see the price.
I think it was $230.
Oh my!
It was originally like 160 or something.
And a lot of people do not like that.
That
set,
is
either.
that. Well, do you know what it means? All it means, I'm sorry to say,
there's an Age of the Primes coming out.
there's another Predaking coming, without a doubt. And they're like,
there is.
get this out, lads.
There's a T-Spark one as well, isn't there?
Was the T-Spark Takara one, absolutely. But you just know that after they're done with Bruticus and whatever else, there'll be another Predaking.
Yeah.
But whether it's, I don't know, could they put it in Studio Series? I don't know.
my
Maybe
God.
not. Somehow,
Somehow,
Studio Series, Anybots.
Yeah. But, do you know, it is technically concept art, I suppose. Or I think they did even say maybe we'll do some Studio Series bots based on the cartoon even. I'm sure that they've mooted it, which I think would cause anarchy in some circles. But hey, but the point is that Masterpiece has got more expensive. And so a lot of people look, when you think back to the days of like Prowl and those guys, at one point the Masterpiece car bots were what, 25, 30 quid or something?
Yeah,
exactly.
Prowl is a great example. That's
It was
25,
so affordable.
25 or 27 quid. It was that price
They
bracket.
were less than what we're buying, Studio Series toys for now, and more complex. And yes, it was 10, 15 years ago or whatever it was. I don't even want to know how long, but it was relatively cheap for what were considered very high-end, nicely painted, detailed, super accurate toys. And it's wild to think that was the cost of them now, because it just all felt so attainable, but still kind of speaking to the level that we wanted. Whereas where we're at now is that you're right, it's this sort of weird, confused world. And I really like these figures, but they are essentially catering to children because that's the requirement, and they have to sit in toy shops and whatever else. But also, I think you've got the sort of younger generation who are now adults that are collecting want that cheaper price bracket as well. They don't want to be spending multiple hundreds on toys or whatever that Masterpiece is offering now. They want generally cheaper toys, particularly if they're maybe earning minimum wage or they're renting or whatever else. This is a luxury hobby at the end of the day. And so those cheaper price brackets are kind of essential to get them into that hobby sphere as adult collectors, But the problem is that actually the prices on that stuff is now going up as well. And I
was going to say that.
You're seeing people being priced out, even as toys kind of get to the sort of like 30, 35 quid range and stuff like
but
this.
Even then, it's not. It's like I go in there and it's $49.95, or when Prime came out, over £100.
Well, that's it.
Ultra Magnus, when I got it, it was 110. I think I paid for mine, and that that is still a ton of money, right?
It is a ton of money.
So, and this is where I do get confused from like Hasbro's point of view. That yes, I agree, Liam. This is kids' toys, but as a parent, I ain't going in and dropping 50 quid. And I am looking a lot at the cost of Transformers now as well. And
everybody is.
But you use the example of Lego. Lego is also hideously expensive, but that's what I mean. Like you'd say, I'm not going in and spending that on that toy, but I want on another toy. So that's
the brand part of it.
What
Lego,
do they do though?
They do have the big brands, but like the collector's grade Millennium Falcon, you're going to drop like £600 on that, right? That is in Smiths though.
God.
But at the same time, you could go and buy the creator's dinosaur set, which is like $15.99, So, and it covers across all these different things. So you can have the Lego experience and all that kind of thing, but there's different levels of it.
Yeah.
And if you were my brother's just been out to Japan, and in Japan, we go into shops, you do get the shops and you do get your Masterpiece line and you get your Kingdom line or you get your Studio Series or whatever, and it's all there next to each other. Whereas it's a different offer there. It's a different, and even think about like if we got Missing Link here and stuff like that. Transformers hasn't gone over to that side yet, where we just get a very specific for kids line. But the confusion for me beyond the brand is over 50 quid is not for kids.
No, I agree with that.
But it's not anymore. That's like, if you look at Smiths, like our age group and collectors in general, it's just the way the world's moved on. Like, it's all adult focused. Like, and Smiths, if you look at across Smiths now, there's as much stuff for adults as there is kids. Like you were saying there about the collector grade Millennium Falcon, and it's like, well, then you also look, they've got He-Man figures, but there's no He-Man's kids show. It's all for adults.
Yep.
The DC figures, it's the adult stuff, and even the Marvel stuff. But then there's aisles of Funko Pops. There's a lot of everything now. It's collector grade stuff, and I feel like the way the world has moved, like pop culture, like adults have kind of, we've stolen that space from kids.
We've taken it over,
because
kick the kids out.
we as generations like go, not Transformers generations, but adult human generations, it's like we are the ones now that are still so in touch with the stuff we liked, and we are still buying it all. That they make like Batman toys now, like the Spin Master. They do the kids cheap stuff. They're doing Batman 1989 and Batman Returns, and you're like, it's not, little kids aren't going, oh my god, it's that, because that time is gone. That's what's happened. We have
I completely
basically
agree.
just encroached onto that space, and we've shaped it all because we're the ones there yelling when they're not, this isn't accurate to this is different, and they've they've listened too much to us for every single toy line. Turtles, it's the same.
But then it comes back to the point at the beginning, which is like, it's not targeted at adults. We'll go in and buy it, but and I do remember,
but it is now. That's the thing. It is.
But from a brand point of view, from a Hasbro kind of like, this is for adults, type thing. Like
it's not explicitly saying on the box this is for adults. You're right.
It has to straddle the line. I think that's the problem.
That's exactly
that's what we're talking.
Yeah, that's true.
It's got to be a kids' toy. It's got to be for adults because
it's for everybody.
And this is the problem. So it ends up quite confused when you're trying to.
I think that's what you're seeing with this, with where to bring it back to Studio Series, I think that's what you're seeing with where the line has ended up, in my opinion, is because it's sort of become everything for everybody, and having to draw in kids diluted as well, and a little bit diluted, and maybe that sort of like purity of concept that it originally had is not really a thing anymore. And I think at some point they need to work out what they're doing with it. Is it going to continue down this road, and is it just like, hey, whatever, this is just another kind of random roster of characters, so one release is going to be 86 whoever, and the next release is going to be Revenge of the Fallen whoever, and the next release is going to be Transformers 1, and then a gamer edition thing, and then a comic guy, and whatever. And is that how it's going to be, or are actually we going to get back to some sort of semblance of order to it all? Or,
they need a cartoon or something, because it's gone from being like these sort of things that we would buy, the collector stuff, specialty shops, wasn't it? It was always like Forbidden Planet or those sort of things. They never really encroached into Woolworths. Toys R Us would have some exclusives, and you'd be like, whoa, that's in there. But by and large, it would be, say, Unicron Trilogy stuff, and then there might be a reissue of something as a
It's very true.
Whereas, but you'd go to in the 90s and early 2000s, you'd go to specialty shops and for this stuff from Japan and stuff like that. Whereas now they've all realized that market's there, and these markets have all converged together. And like you say, it's like they need that kind of, they don't have that cartoon anymore either.
And they have done cartoons, and like I think the problem there, and God, we're getting into a lot of different territory with
times
this
to change, doesn't
conversation. But that's the thing, and a lot of the cartoons now, like Earthspark, and certainly with Cyberworld and what have you as well, it's all, the problem is streaming, and these things are often locked behind platforms and whatever else, so that actually a whole generation of kids is not watching something like Earthspark. And certainly they're not watching Cyberworld if it's on YouTube and whatever else, So then consequently, the toy line becomes more of a niche thing, And like, yes, the toys are there.
That's very true.
But they're not clamoring into Smiths or wherever, or Walmart or whatever, and going, hey, where's
I've seen that with my son.
Whoever.
Yeah, how he buys.
They haven't seen these cartoons,
Trends are changing, aren't they? When we were kids, it was, cartoons were massive and this thing. Whereas kids now, it's less about the same things that we were into in those sort of ways. Their tastes are changing, but it's kind of like, you kind of look at Hasbro and toy companies, and they're still trying to grab and hold on, and that's why they're
Yeah,
firing
I
out
agree with
so
that.
much stuff to
I agree
every
with that.
market conceivable.
What someone inevitably says at this point, and I do disagree with this slightly, is that people inevitably say, "Oh, kids these days, they're all about computer games or video games or whatever you want to call them."
They're
you know?
not though. They still watch this stuff, but
Exactly.
I don't think they're as driven to toys in the same way. From what I've noticed, I think because devices exist, it's still
I
into
think
toys,
it's a
but I don't
little
think it's
bit
the same.
chicken and egg, though.
But it's a
Yeah.
lot quicker now. The flip between one thing to another thing to another thing to another
Yes.
thing is that's the big difference now. They'll consume. So my son's massively just into books. He'll just walk around with like a pile of books constantly. That's his thing, right? He collects books. That's his love. But his books will be across everything, right? That's what he does. But when talking to his friends, they're into something different every second day.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
So the idea of them then going into the shops, and even when I've gone in with him, it's always lovely fun, but I don't know what he's going to buy because he will jump and go, I want this dinosaur mask or I want this squishy little character. And he will just go on the aesthetic of it rather than a brand part of it.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah. But it's very different, like you're saying, Liam, to when we were, which was, comics and cartoons were made to sell toys. That's the reality of it.
It's not as overt now, it's fair to say. It's not as in your face. And I mean, times have changed in a lot of regards. I think it's just interesting when people dismiss it as like, oh, kids just want games now. And it's like,
They
well,
don't though. They want
do
a mix
or-
of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They do want a mix of stuff. And I think that answer to everything is just kind of I hate to say that it's lazy, but I think it's misunderstanding how things are going, because actually if you're not providing cartoons that kids can get into, or they're locked behind streaming platforms and what have you, and actually the toys are not appealing in the right way and whatever else, then yeah, of course they're going to look to other
Yeah, it's no
stuff.
entry point. Yeah.
Yeah, there is no entry point.
I don't think it's just as simple as kids just wanting games. I think it's more the way trends have changed in that, say, when we were kids, up until the early 2000s, there was like appointment viewing. There would be kids' cartoons were only in one place and they were at one
exactly.
time. So you would watch it, and whatever the new thing came on, you saw it because it took the place of something else.
And you talk about it at school, and
Totally. Whereas now kids, they don't consume TV like we did, where we had to watch terrestrial telly or
four
stuff
channels,
that was on at a
that's
set
it.
time.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
it's all like what's on Netflix.
Absolutely. Oh, I blew my son's mind the other week because we were talking about this, and I said, do you know, when I was your age, you couldn't actually choose what you wanted to watch at any point.
Yeah.
Like, you just turned on the TV and whatever was on was what you watched.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? Do you know what I mean? Like, and he genuinely could not fathom that. And it was just so funny because it wasn't even like the whole, we only had 4 channels malarkey. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't even that.
It was not on demand.
It was just the concept of like, so I couldn't just go on and watch Teen Titans Go if I wanted to. It'd be like, no, you'd have to wait for a set time in the week when it would play, and it might only be one episode, and then you'd have to wait another week to watch the next episode. And that, he lost it at that. He was like, what? He was like, but what if I want to see the next one?
Our TV was basically curated for us and enforced upon us, whereas for kids now, they can watch whatever they want, and through Netflix, YouTube, everything is whatever their taste, what they're into. They're not beholden to something in the same way we were, and I think that's a major thing. What's changed things, because you don't get that, like the ability for something like, say, the Unicron trilogy to quite come out as this whole huge brand thing that kids are going to watch at a set time, because they'll have to drop it all in one go on a streaming platform, possibly, or distribute it somewhere on some streaming platforms that some people might not have heard of, or it's locked behind stuff. And there's also, like, you have this weird thing now with the internet where it's like some things are released in certain parts of the world, but because we all exist online, like, we're always in the conversation. So if something comes out here later, it's like, well, I might have already seen it, or it's moved on, the conversation by the time.
I think it's the moved on part of it. Yeah, as well.
It's not in the zeitgeist anymore.
Do you know the thing that blew my son's mind? And then he told loads. There was the whole concept of getting a videotape from the store, but it was the fact you had to rewind it before you gave it back to the store, otherwise you got charged. Which was it's like this whole idea of rewinding something. It's like, what?
It is mad, isn't it?
Man, I never did that. I think I just got away with it.
You got charged 20p there from Blockbuster.
I think you're what people call a cunt then, Liam. That's fair to say.
I'll allow it.
I'm kidding.
Fair.
But bringing us back to this sort of topic at hand, though, because this discussion has gone all over the place, but it's good because I think it is interesting because it all paints a very complicated landscape for products like this to kind of land in at the moment. And I think what we're kind of coming to as a conclusion is that actually Studio Series, we don't really know what it's about anymore as adult collectors. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm wondering where it is going to go next, honestly. And part of me is like, oh, it's cool that they're introducing all these new concepts, because don't get me wrong, I like seeing 86 Optimus Prime. He's here on my desk right now, and I like seeing everything that's going into it. And even the toys that I don't pick up, I mean, I don't get the Gamer Edition toys, but I think they look really cool, and they certainly appeal. So I'm glad they're being made. But I can also, as I say, see it from the perspective of kind of the slightly more older school Bay fans that are kind of like, well, what about us?
Where's my stuff?
Like,
totally.
you were doing a thing here that I was enjoying, and now you've diluted it a little bit. I don't know. So I kind of feel like maybe Studio Series now at some point needs to figure out what it's about. Otherwise they may as well lose the branding, as far as I'm concerned.
I would
just
agree.
Make it all generations or whatever they want to call it. So
make it all Studio Series.
It could do, couldn't they? I mean, it
might as
essentially is, basically.
Could we just do it generations? Because then it'll be a lot easier for my database.
Right? You wouldn't have to.
So you'd have to go back to bring back generations.
Everything, all the generations. That's what we want.
I do think, though, that you can absolutely see them bringing it more in line, and everything from the lack of the Studio Series packaging, the little backdrops, the way that the format of the packaging has changed and become consistent with mainline generations, even silly stuff like introducing Core Class and Commander Class into Studio Series, I think is interesting, because both of those were, came from Legacy or whatever,
Legacy
the mainline, and got ported over to kind of bring Studio Series in line. So I think it's what you're saying.
Shows you the way their heads at, doesn't it? Right?
Well, exactly.
It's just a case of we have so much product we want to release,
and it's exactly what you were saying.
It's
just cases. That's the thing, and waves, and like how many waves can we get? And if you've already got a full wave of Age of the Primes, here's another wave of equivalent toys that sit alongside it that you can also have. So. But I do think it's good that they're getting back to doing like the Age of Extinction Dinobots and stuff like that. I think that's really good to see. I know you're happy, Liam, aren't you?
Yeah, thrilled. But I will say, because we haven't really spoken about it, but some of the toys as well were quite good.
The toys themselves,
there were some toys. But I'm thinking of like the Bumblebee movie toys. Like I have nearly all of those, and those
you've got a lot of them.
I love those. Yeah.
Yeah,
Transformers 1 stuff. Some of the movie stuff. The only one I think I've still got. I had Starscream. I still have that, and the Jazz.
The Coronation Starscream, was it?
No, the movie
not
Starscream.
86. Come on, Grandad.
Sorry, I keep
not
going
G1.
Oh, no.
The
do you
movie
mean the Starscream from the movie?
The Roadkill Vomit Dorito. That one. That's what it looks like. But it's a cool toy actually. Like the jet mode is great, but also the Jazz is wicked because it looks. He was the one character in the first film that I thought looked enough like a traditional Transformer to some extent. But the Studio Series, they've tweaked it so he's even more like a traditional Transformer in some ways, and it's just really cool. And
I think honestly, most of them look great. I mean, even some of the more recent ones, like the Rise of the Beast Scourge, I thought looked really good.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
looked really, really cool.
I have the Prime, that was really good.
Yeah, that does look good. I thought, some of the Beast ones they did, like the Cheetor and stuff, looked good as well. The Fallen, actually, that they did not so long ago. That was a couple of years ago now.
No. There's no salvaging that.
Oh dear.
Oh, no.
Skelly Bob's crap face.
Yeah, right. Okay, moving on then. But no, there have been tons, and I do think a lot of the live action ones have been really cool. I thought actually, and this is going to be controversial for you as well, Liam, I thought the Constructicons, the Bayverse Constructicons, looked really cool. I thought that was a really
Liam has left
set.
the pod.
Yeah, really cool seems like a strong term for.
I mean, look, if you want your Devastator
nonsense
to look like some sort of big weird bulldog with a massive pair of balls, then some people do like that.
Did you have to buy those
I think
separately?
you'll find it's a giant enemy scrotum.
Yeah, right. I think you did have to buy the balls separately. I think the balls was an upgrade kit,
it
wasn't it?
Or downgrade kit.
Downgrade.
Yeah, exactly.
As Maz got them, they crowed.
Yeah, exactly. Maz has got his own shiny balls, honestly.
Exactly.
So.
One man alone.
But all of that stuff I thought was really cool. And I have looked at a lot of these toys over the years, like I said, like the Blackout and stuff as well, and thought, wow, these are pretty good. And I think for me, it was just always I don't have room for that. Like I can't I can't get into that as well. Like there needs to be a line drawn somewhere. But I have always sort of looked at them and thought, wow, these are pretty cool. So I think it probably is good if they get back to doing some of that as well. Particularly if they are going to do more live action movies and things as well, then it's got to be a benefit.
And they've always followed the kind of the G1 style generations thing where they refine them, and each time they bring out a new version, it's closer. And I think with Studio Series, that makes more sense, I think, to get closer to the screen mode, because that's what it's supposed to be, as close in some ways as what Masterpiece started with, where their first idea was to get as close to a cartoony Optimus Prime as they could get.
Yeah.
And I think like the Jetwing Optimus Prime, I've always really wanted that one, and at the time, instead of picking it up, I went with the Masterpiece, the MPM.
Oh yeah.
Optimus Prime, Movie Optimus Prime, which looks amazing in both modes, but has one of the most horrible and hateful transformations of any toy I've ever experienced. So much, I did it once, and then when I sold it, I refused to do it. Even though it would have been easier
that transformation.
Oh my god, no! I'm like, didn't it go? What the hell is this?
I quite like it.
Who enjoys this? This is not
me.
Fun.
Oh
my god, so MP44, old convoluted transformation lover Sixo over there.
Wow, sounds like a great evening. That does,
sounds like a great week of evenings. That does.
Cup of tea and good long hour to transformation. That sounds brilliant.
It's literally your videos, ASMR.
I think that's what Studio Series offers in some ways, is a kind of a way for people like me who can't be asked with that kind of but that kind of way to kind of experience some of those characters you did like, and we're like, oh, this is quite
just
fun.
a quick
The Starscream and like that toy, I really like that toy, and I hate that robot design and screen, but as a toy, it's pretty fun. Really good.
I think there is a sort of fine balance with Studio Series where actually it's the look, the accuracy in both modes, the sense of like this looks like the screen, but it's not a total nightmare to transform.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And like
it's got fun.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. This is still simple enough and affordable enough, and you could give it to a child feasibly, maybe like slightly older, but still, and works on all those regards.
Totally.
But
I'd agree,
but it also has that screen accurate look to it. And I think that's the line that they kind of try to tread. And I do think as well with some of the 86 toys and stuff coming in, they've sort of confused that slightly, I will say. But
I would say so.
At its core, I think, I personally, I must admit, even through the process of this conversation, I feel like I've become quite passionate about the idea of like bring back Studio Series a little bit to what it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be nice if it could just get an idea of what it is as a brand. And so that, because the conversation for us just now has been, what is this line? And it's quite clear that we don't know.
Well, I asked that question about an hour ago or hour and a half ago, even.
Exactly.
And I still don't think we've got a particular answer. So
that's it.
I think there's a great irony to it, though, is we've sat here for ages talking about how confusing it is and we don't know what it is. But when it comes to buying these figures, it won't matter because we won't care. We will just be looking at it. It is
true. Yes.
There's a wind charger. I'm buying a wind charger. You're not looking for it. You know
is it Studio
what
Series
you want and what you're buying.
You're
not buying in terms of you're not following a line, and as such, you're so aware of what something is and where it is.
That's a good point, Liam, because we've talked about that before as well, where it's about picking and choosing for me, and we've all talked about that, and grabbing certain figures, going, oh, that'll fit nicely with that, and that'll fit nicely with that. And I know as well that going through my collection, both cataloguing it and then getting out of boxes at the moment as well, that there will be certain figures that I will just let go of, like the Kingdom Galvatron. I won't keep both. I'll keep the Studio Series 86 version of it because that's the one I'd want for my collection. But that's also a good place to be, isn't it? As both a collector, but also people that are just getting Transformers, that you get
options,
all these options.
Yeah. Never a bad thing.
I think there's an evolution of the way we collect. I think it's the way it is. We have
legacy evolution.
Yeah, but we don't collect lines. Yes. But we don't collect lines anymore. We collect
characters.
We have an ideal of what a character should look like, and that's kind of what you want, rather than a defined line. It's kind of a shame that's been lost in a way. But then I suppose it's quite G1 in its way, where it was just the Transformers for
characters,
X amount of years, and it's just random toys thrown into a series.
Yeah, completely agree.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Right, well, we're going to do that part of the pod that we always do where we talk about our sponsor, and that is TFSource.com. So we're going to take a look at their site, see what they've got in stock and available for pre-order right now, and talk about it a little bit. And looking at TFSource.com, as we are, I think we've identified something that sticks out from the crowd that's probably quite amusing to talk about considering the conversation we've had already, and that is, I was going to say it's Power of the Prime's Predaking, but is it Power of the Prime's Predaking anymore, or is it Age of the Prime's Predaking now, or what? It says Power of the Primes here, so I guess that
it does say
it's still the same.
When it's the same deco, isn't it? When they've done this recently, they've tended to just pop it back out in the
same box.
Yeah.
So it's literally a straight up reissue, same box, everything, except now it's
same
something
terrible
like
stickers.
Yeah, same terrible stickers, except now it's like $70 more expensive.
And is it a reissue or is it just found stock? Let's be honest.
Well, I think both would count as reissue in some ways.
True.
But whether they had the stock on hand or it's a new run, I don't know.
God,
but
it's such a blocky mess of a thing, isn't it?
That's interesting. Okay, Jason coming in swinging. Look at you. Oh no, oh god. So have you got this toy?
So I don't have this, and I was always tempted. Have I got this? Oh, database fails me again. You know.
Do you not know?
I don't think I do. I'm looking at my database. Here we go.
You would know though, right? You would know.
No, it would have been one of those ones that I bought and then didn't open.
Oh,
I don't have it. I don't have it because I got all the other combiners and I love them. I've got like Defensor and Bruticus and all those ones. No, wait, that's not Power of the Prime. That's Combiner
This is where we
Wars.
find out his database. His database is like one of those ancient like tape recording computers.
It's a stone tablet.
No, I've got
Holly
Hunger.
from Red Dwarf. What's the Predaking, Dave? I can do anything else. Earthspark.
I've got Hunger and all those lot. That's who I've got. So I've got Terracons.
That's a different toy. Yeah.
I'm just working out what I've got. So no, I never got this one, but I saw it many times at TFN, and then I saw that this had been re-released. Never bit the bullet.
So you don't like the look of it, though?
Yeah, it was purely. I have a lot of issues with this. And we love TFSource, and this is no shade on TFSource.
Well, no, they just stocked the toy, let's be fair. Yeah, they didn't make it.
But the actual, the animal modes are like, what is going on with them?
Right.
They're just blocks with tiny heads for the most part.
Kind of like the original G1 toys.
Very similar.
But I can let the original G1 away with it because the combined mode of the G1, which is how I've always got it displayed, is beautiful. But the combined mode of this Power of the Primes one, he looks like he's wearing some ill-fitting trousers.
Okay, so a couple of things here. The stock pictures
it's terrible, isn't it?
Are the worst. The absolute worst. Right. I have this toy, and I'm going to say this.
Why are the wings down?
I really like this toy. I really like it. Honestly, I don't think it's perfect by any means. And this is the point, right, where you've got to caveat so much stuff because you say that you like something like this, and of course, this is one of those toys that comes in for a super kicking online. Like people are only too happy to lay into this thing with like full venom. And I've seen a few of those sorts of comments, since the reissue has been announced, where people are like, "This thing's dog." And stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Really going to town on hating it. And the thing is that I get why people do that because it does have some objective faults. There are things to it, like the back of the legs hanging off Headstrong and Tantrum.
Oh, yes,
stuff like
of
that.
Course.
The thighs.
Yeah.
All of those are minus points. And yes, it is sort of weird in terms of some of the proportions and things like this. And he's got a bit of a skinny waist. But still, honestly, when you get this thing into the combined mode and see it in person, I think it's really impressive. Honestly, like it's not quite Unite Warriors Devastator for me, but it's pretty good in my opinion.
Wow. See,
okay,
I also have this, and I've never been a giant fan of it, but I've been coming around to it lately since moving stuff and picked it up again. I was like, it's not quite as bad as I remember. I didn't think it was terrible, but it's not that good for something that you look at it and you go, oh, it looks like it could be really good. And then you kind of get it in hand and you're like, I appreciate the G1 style blockiness as of the animals. I just think for something so big and so expensive, they could have done with stuff like, I don't know, leg articulation and, little
I agree
little
with all of
things.
that. Yeah.
And he could have done with Predaking could have done with a back because of the way they've made his waist, which is basically it's like a U-shaped Jason, but the sides are two flaps, and so they
Right.
just pull out. But there's nothing that
Filling that
holds
gap,
the back
yeah.
in place. So if you pick him up by the waist, it just collapses and the whole thing falls apart.
Right.
It's just kind of
Yeah.
like
It
it's
does
really
look
oddly done.
very kind of weak in that his abs. It doesn't look like he could hold that heft.
What Sixo said about Devastator is quite a good shout, really, because that's kind of what they feel like in Spirit is
Yeah.
like a step away from that kind of almost Tonka toy style quality. It's another one where it felt like at the time you could see compromises really fast.
Oh, there are
in a way.
compromises.
Yeah, like they have those waves every few years where it rolls back. Like we had the Fall of Cybertron Combaticons, where clearly this was an era of cost cutting, and this feels a bit the same. Like there are just so many bits where you're like, they could have done that a little bit better. They could have done that better
Yeah,
for what it
I
is.
agree
But
with all of that.
like the lack of the spikes and the knuckle always bugged me because it's such a part of Predaking.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
Yeah.
they could have got away with it if they hadn't made it a massive feature of the artwork on the front of the box where Predaking looks like he's punching the front of the box with his giant spiked knuckles that he doesn't actually have.
But certainly, when you look at the stock pics, I don't think that they do the toy as it is justice. I agree that it is compromised, and there are things about it that I'm like, oh, this could be way
They
better.
haven't even put the gun together on the arm. It's just
exactly.
the razor claws gun.
They
I
are
think it is.
some of the worst stock pics I've seen in a while, for sure. Even the like awkward sort of like pose that they've put him in with the twisted leg, and it's like,
it's really
is he
bad.
walking?
Yeah.
What is he doing there? I mean.
Yeah.
Why have they twisted it there as well?
No idea why you would do that. It doesn't work. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but Jason, I'll just send you a couple of my pictures of this thing and see if it changes your mind like a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because I honestly had a great time taking pictures of this guy.
Oof.
And, you know,
Yeah.
so this for me was, I love the Predaking design. I always have. And it's, again, far from a perfect toy, has plenty of compromises going on. But there's just something about it that has a real presence as well. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth $230. I think that is crazy.
I was going to sell mine. I was going to sell it
nice.
till I moved the stuff. Then I picked it up and was like, oh, actually, no. I think I'll hang on to it for a bit longer. Especially now the value is about to bottom out. But
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like there's the stuff where it gets sort of bad. Is it Tantrum or Headstrong? The ball. He's got the big, the combiner legs stuck on the back, the whole thigh.
That is a bad move. I guess they were at that stage of wanting everything to be non-parts for me, weren't they? So they were like, "Oh, we'll integrate this," even though the hands are separate pieces and the feet are separate pieces.
And that's the thing about this. It was. I loved Combiner Wars, but that was always the weakest part of Combiner Wars as well. And there just, for me, seems to be a bit too many compromises. Your pictures look absolutely beautiful, and it does look lovely. And the colors of
Ironically, the combined mode is the best part of this set. Once you put it together, it's like, actually, it's pretty great. It's just the actual single bots on their own. They are good in a way, but at the same time, you constantly, as you handle them, you feel like there's compromises left, right, and center. But at this point, people really wanted it, so it's nice that they put it back out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those where if they sold it as 5 individual toys, you would have a lot of complaints about it. As a set of 5 toys, it works, And
exactly that. That's the best way I've heard it described. Is exactly that. Like, there's a lot I'm happy with and would let go because it's like, wow, this is great because they're massive and fun and chunky, like the Constructicons were, where there's very much a Tonka toy sort of feel to them. But if I bought them separately,
is it a similar
size? Same
size as all right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
that's
18, 19 inches. Yeah, it's tall. Big old thing.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. And honestly, I remember getting it and opening it and just having the best time with it, So, and it was one of those where, I don't love the legs hanging off the back of the 2 leg guys, that kind of stuff. That is like a real, but honestly, even the individuals, I would say, as a set, I've had fun with. I kind of agree that the animal modes do lack a little bit, but they're still okay, you know. And
So
bearing
I
in
quite
mind,
like the robot modes.
yeah,
on
I
the
think the
individual
robots,
bots. I think they're quite nice.
They do look really nice. And bear in mind that for me, I was picking this up at a point where I was like full blown masterpiece collector. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Interesting.
you know, it's not like I was all in on Generations mainline stuff at this point. I was like masterpiece all the way, baby. And then Titan Devastator came out, and I was like, got the United Warriors one, and that was what convinced me to get this. And this was like, oh yeah, this is so much fun. Do you know what I mean? And I think that was where it sort of like peaked open the door for me a little bit to kind of start looking at
I
other
think
stuff.
in a weird bit of Triple Takeover lore, I think our first conversation in person that me and you ever had, Sixo, was about this toy.
Really?
Really?
Because it was when it had just come out, and we were chatting. It wasn't the first thing we were chatting about, but was in our first conversation that we ever had at TFN that time. The
I
first
remember,
time
yeah.
I went, it was when this toy had come out, and we were talking about it.
Ah, interesting.
That's quite cool.
There
Out
you
of
go.
interest, was there ever a Takara version of this? Or was it?
This was so Power of the Primes was the point where Takara and Hasbro merged and just started doing the same thing. Same with Triptychon and everything as well. So this was kind of all the point where it was like we're just doing one toy
line.
between
one
us.
toy.
And you know, so where you got a huge variance with Devastator, this was just the same.
Right.
It was Power of the Primes, wasn't it? This is the exact moment,
pinpoint in history, which is kind of a shame because I feel like if Takara had cooked with this in the way they did with Unite Warriors Devastator,
exactly.
it could have been, you know, they could have just included a few upgrades like swords for the individual guys.
Oh,
well, that's it. The wings are too small.
Bigger wings,
the wings actually, when you put them out, they're all right. The stock photographer here, for some reason,
they folded
them
it down.
hanging down.
Yeah,
it's
they
really
fold them down.
Like he's got a small cloak.
The other thing was that there was a DNA design upgrade kit for this, which was really good, but it gave much bigger wings, significantly bigger wings. But then the wings were too long for Dive Bomb to actually wear. Like you had to have them sticking right out the back. So I understand why Hasbro made the wings the length that they were, smaller. Because it's like it's also got to work with Dive Bomb, you know. So
when I saw this was being announced a few days ago, I saw it was leaked that it was coming out. There were listings, and I think I replied on DNA's Facebook page saying, I hope this gets DNA to put that upgrade kit out.
Yeah, get ready.
I want the swords and I want the knuckle dusters, because this is the thing about this Predaking is it's like it's a very glaring omission. It's that he doesn't have a sword. He doesn't come with a sword. And you're like, that's pretty. And it's like you look at that box art and it looks so good. Like the artwork on the front, you're like, this toy looks incredible. Then you get to the actual toy and it's like, it doesn't quite hit that mark.
Yeah. The box art is definitely fills him out a little bit as well, because the one real complaint I have about the combined mode actually is the sort of skinniness of the waist, the way it's kind of tapers in a little bit, and again
it collapses.
Yeah, it really does. And again, it does look a little bit strange. And the upgrade kit had some little filler pieces for that and stuff as well, which did fill it out quite nicely. I mean, there are lots of things to talk about here. The stickers are crap. This honestly so bad.
This is
so bad.
The bottom of the barrel of stickers, because this is Titan's Return and this, but Power of the Primes.
Those shiny ones, isn't it?
This might be a set of the worst stickers I've ever seen on a Transformers.
The feathers, every single one is a sticker.
So bad.
As an aside to this,
really?
I found something when I was moving some boxes today. I found I was going through the sticker sheets, and I found a Power of the Primes Predaking sticker sheet, but it's not the one that came with it. It's a separate one. And I forgot. Do you remember that Hasbro went through a phase during Titan's Return, Power of the Primes? They've putting out upgraded sticker
that's
sets,
right.
like
in other boxes.
Hasbro Asia, wasn't it? Yeah. And I forgot. I still have the complete set, and for some reason, and never ever applied them. I was looking at it going, actually, maybe some of these stickers on here, because they're probably a little bit better, but they add in a lot of vintage toy detail and stuff like that. Loads more stuff.
That's quite interesting.
Completely forgot.
Yeah,
but yeah, I do think it's good that they've reissued this. However, the price is, I mean, I'll be honest, it's shocking. I'm just like, what? Yeah. And it's a real sign of the times with inflation, yes, but also the fact that everything is outstripping inflation, and certainly wages, real wages and all of that. It's just, who is paying $230 for this kind of stuff now?
It's really unfair. And it's not. I don't think you can justify it, because I don't. It's the thing where I'm glad it's getting a reissue, but I feel like if it's getting a reissue in a time where things are so expensive that it has to be that expensive, I think they should have waited a bit till things settled down. and
Yeah,
hopefully
whether
got
it's
a
a
little bit cheaper.
tariffs thing and it goes back down or
Plastics,
whatever, and who knows, honestly. But the point is that it is an eye gouging price rise is the thing. Like
Yes, totally.
there's no other way to describe it.
But in
And
no
I
way
think,
the fault of TFSource.
no, I was going to say, well,
No.
TFSource are charging the going rate for it,
Yeah,
so that is
yeah.
what it is. So it is definitely
Recommended
not.
retail price.
Yes, exactly. It's not a TFSource thing, but it just popped up and it seemed like an interesting one to talk about. But they got
It is.
plenty of other much more
Yeah.
reasonably priced toys on there as well. I see under related products they've got Amalgamous Prime and stuff like that also looks amazing, which I might have to look into. So, but yeah. Anyway, there's your Predaking. What does everybody else think about it? You can let us know. Do you think, is it worthy of a reissue? Are you excited for it, or are you kind of expecting they're going to announce a new combiner Predaking at some point as well? So let us know. But otherwise, go and check it out at tfsource.com for all your Transformers needs.
We now return to the Transformers.
Okay, well, I think that's going to do it for Studio Series. And of course, there is plenty more to say on this topic. I know we went round the houses a little bit, but we didn't get much time to kind of talk through individual toys themselves and things like this. So it might be a topic that we revisit at some point. You never know. In the future, you'll have to let us know if you'd like to do that. You can hit us up on all our social media, which is at @triple_takeover, or sometimes triple takeover with no underscore. It just depends on the platform and things. But we're out there in the ether. You can go and find us and tell us what you think about Studio Series and if you'd like us to chat about it a bit more. And fair to say a big thank you to our patron, Ross, as well, for commissioning this topic in the first place. You ended up with a much longer chat than you might have anticipated, so I hope it was worth it.
It was a Chris Ross gift.
Again with this. It's stop trying to make Chris Ross happen. It's not going to happen.
Chris Cross.
Okay, when you
Chris
say
Cross
it,
will
somehow
make
it sounds
happen.
even funnier.
Chris Ross. I mean,
when you say it, I don't know why.
what is that? If you just walked up to someone in the street and said, "Hey, Chris Ross," they'd look at you like you were ill. I mean,
They
what's
thought you had a lisp and were trying to say Chris Cross.
Yeah, I thought it was a Chris Cross joke when you first
Chris
said
Ross will
it.
make you jump,
Took me a second to realise it was meant to be like a Christmas thing, but hey,
His speech impediment trying to say Chris Cross.
good God. Anyway, speaking of patrons, Jason, we
Yeah.
also have a bit of a patron, don't we?
We do indeed. And one of the bonuses of being a patron is you get to ask us questions. I've got 2 tonight for you, gentlemen. The first one is from P Funk Pearl, JP, who's been a patron of ours for a very long time.
Yeah,
Beginning.
he's
Indeed.
one of the OGs. Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
Indeed.
the grandfather
and always
patron.
good for sharing. Always sharing some pretty nice stuff recently on our channels as well. Come and join. It's very good to see.
He's got a lot of toys.
He does have a lot of toys. It's very true. So he's actually given us 3 questions here, but I'm just going to give you one from his selection just now. Is there a character who started out as a repaint but overtook the original as the de facto for the
Skybite.
alt mode? Robot. Well, interesting. So he's given 2 examples, and one of them was Skybite,
Right.
as well.
Yeah, that's the obvious one.
Yeah, totally.
That is definitely the obvious one because everybody
Yeah.
knows Skybite. No f***er knows Cybershark. Like literally nobody. Well, I do, but nobody else.
So, funnily enough, JP said the one that I was going to choose, which was, for me, it's Scourge, because I didn't know Laser Prime. I got Scourge in, was it RID?
Yeah.
That's when I got it originally, and that's that color scheme was very much the one for me. What about you, Liam? One that comes to
You know
mind?
me, I brim of ideas. Absolutely would not have said Skybite as my only choice. Maybe I'll go with Ultra Magnus over Powered Convoy. I can't think of anything else.
I guess that kind of counts.
That does kind of count. Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because he is right. All too often, the repaint is the sort of secondary character. It's
totally.
the one that's not.
But you've got things like, even go back to like Sunstreak is really lovely, but then you got Spinnet and Corden. Like Corden's lovely, so
yeah, I suppose. But those and Battle Convoy don't really, or Powered Convoy, they don't really count. But like, like it depends because it's like there are repaints that I think are way better. Like obviously, Skywarp is far nicer than Starscream, but Starscream is the much larger character, and It's hard to think, isn't it, of characters? Skybite is the one that stands out, and Scourge would be the other one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those two
Ruination,
especially.
maybe is
But even then, I think Bruticus is more well
still,
known than Ruination, I would say. I guess it
Yeah,
depends on the
totally.
audience, but
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
it is really hard to think. I bet there's like some great examples that we're just not considering. But honestly, I can't think of many more other than those couple. I think every other time, and I'm looking around the room and I'm kind of considering all the
Yeah.
examples, but every other time I think of one, I'm like, yeah, but the original still tops it, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to. So I do actually have a third party choice, which is my Nero Rex, which is the repaint of Feral Rex, which is from Mastermind Creations. That's that purple silvery.
yeah, but isn't
look.
that just a better repaint rather than
I was going to say,
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact,
I mean,
true.
much like the Skywalk Starscream scenario.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the same figure.
there are. I mean, if the question is, are there repaints that are better or nicer to look at than the original? Then yes, thousands. You know, like that's a totally different question.
So I'm changing the
but-
question to make it easier.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just start listing those then. But yeah, if the question, as I think I understood it, which was, are there repaints that have become more well known than the
famous.
originals?
Yeah, that's the. This is
Then-
why I failed at school because I didn't understand the question or didn't
Oh
answer
my
the
God.
question. Oh, it's true.
But I mean, look, there are tons that you could look around and you could say, oh, these are really great repaints, but they're never as well known as the original release.
Totally.
I don't think
Yeah.
is the thing. So
Skybite's the
So
one.
JP answered his own question. That was the
yeah,
thing, right?
he
You
did
know?
really.
You did, yeah. Excellent question, though. All the same. Thank you as always. I'll read your other ones at a future episode. We now have.
I've got one.
Oh, go on then.
Skid Z.
Yeah, that's a good one actually. Yes, that's another RAD one, but
Yeah.
they're all from
True.
bloody RAD.
That's what I
aren't
mean.
they?
Yeah, totally.
That's the only era where they were taking
They were taking
like,
a
great
weird,
toys that people didn't care
obscure
for.
molds. Yeah.
All of those, they're all like that toe line.
Toe line as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Arguably the spy changes as well. Really.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say,
Oh,
yeah, totally.
yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah.
No, definitely.
Okay,
Spy
we got
Changer,
more.
yeah,
Yeah, nice one, Liam. Excellent.
Just keep naming RID toys now. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
Go through that
Exactly.
toilet.
Right.
Oh, perfect.
So the second one, now this is always a challenge for me because it is unchrasmatic bore. There's no I at the end.
Unchrasmatic.
Yeah, there's no I, so it's but yeah, unchrasmatic.
Jason doesn't call
bore.
anybody unchrasmatic.
That's true. Everyone's charismatic to me.
You know where it comes from, though, Jace, right? You know,
The handle.
unchrasmatic.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's going to be Transformers related, and now I'm not going to
Jesus,
know. Why are we called Triple Takeover?
Oh
Is
my
it to do with
God.
that?
Hey, that's why you didn't get the joke of
Yeah.
Jason wouldn't call it.
Oh no, wait, it's is it Grimlock?
No.
Oh,
I guess it would be
Jason.
something Grimlock.
this is
Wait,
2
I'm-
weeks you've killed me in a
Oh,
row by the last line of the bloody show.
I'm going to work it out.
God.
Wait, hang on. Wait. No, I don't. No, wait. Is it in the movie? Is it from the
It's
movie?
from the 86 movie, yes.
Yeah, okay, right. And it's from I'm sure I remember this.
Nobody would follow an uncharismatic bore like you.
So
and
it
then-
is.
but then the
Nobody
reply-
calls Soundwave unchrasmatic.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. For Wheelie. Yeah. So I was in the
Wheelie?
Wait. what?
Really?
Is it not?
Jason!
Is it one of the other Dinobots? Is
No.
It, oh, I
Jason,
can't
I love
remember
you
this
so
film.
Have you
I seen this film?
movie? What?
You know
Man.
what? I actually was chatting to someone I was mentoring today who was asking about the podcast, and he's like, "Can you give me a link? I love the '86 movie," and he's going to hear this now, and he's going to be like, "That guy's not a fan." And
He's
he's
going to be
watch
like,
the film.
Jason, have you seen this movie? Can
I know, honestly, that's terrible, isn't it? I feel I need to go and do my research.
You need to
Jason,
watch the movie.
I do.
I don't think
yeah.
there will ever be a time in the rest of my life, Jason, where I don't think you are having a stroke. Some kind.
Really? Really? Honestly.
Bring in the vibes. That's what we're doing
No,
here.
it's
Yeah.
it's Soundwave and the cassettes is the thing. So he's in the argument with the Constructicons. They're inside
An
Astro
Astro
Train.
Train.
Yes, of course. I knew all of that.
Right. And Wheelie was also there. And the Dinobots.
My go-to wheelie.
Oh my God, man.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
I'm gonna watch that, and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, there it is.
And
That's
somehow Miriam was there.
it. Yeah, that all makes sense. Only to me
God.
though. Unchratomatic bore. Your question.
Oh, dear.
Despite the larger size classes being named Commander and Leader, Optimus and Megatron have also had their fair share of smaller scale figures, both official and unofficial. Are there any in the deluxe warrior size and under that you enjoy? And if so, what are your favorites?
Oh, well, the obvious one is for Optimus anyway, is the Legacy G1 Universe one, deluxe class.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the new one that's coming
Superb.
out.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really,
that's
really
really
good.
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maz doesn't
Um,
like it, but he's a tosser. So what can you do? So
Can I?
I hope he chokes on it.
yeah,
I might. I don't know if this is allowed, but I'd go for the Koro Q. You know, the little.
that is excellent.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah.
I like those ones.
I'd
Yeah.
go for the Legends class Megatron they did. Revealed the shield, right? And still turned into a gun.
Yeah,
Last time they could
yeah.
tiny little. Yeah, that's quite
Mm,
fun.
That was nice.
You
Yeah,
can use
yeah.
it with the Masterpiece Starscream and stuff, and it's very,
Yeah.
very clever gun.
I would
That's
like
good.
to
But they're
get
really
that
quite
one.
a lot. I'm really enjoying it at the minute. The Studio Series Deluxe Optimus from Devastation.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh
good.
yeah.
People really seem to
Oh,
hate
man.
that top, and I'm like, it's so much fun to just pick up and pose. I even really
Yeah.
like the truck mode because I've got a million other Optimus Primes that look like real trucks. I kind of like that this one looks like a shopping trolley. It's weird, and it's just, but it goes together like more securely than any Optimus truck mode I can think of. It's just
It's
wicked,
so
really good.
funny though, because like they just announced that, and we haven't got time to talk about it now, but they've just announced that like what I can't remember what they've called it, like evolution of a toy.
Oh,
the
yeah,
set pack.
that's such
Yeah.
a weird set.
It's a weird set. I kind of like it, and I kind of don't. Like I can't.
Yeah.
I flip flop on it a bit. But anyway, that
I'm very
aside,
confused.
but the common comment I've seen about that is people kind of going, "Oh, I really like the idea, but they've included the worst possible toy with it."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the thing is, whenever you ask people and you're like, "Oh, do you own the original Devastation
No.
Studio Series?" and very often they don't. That's the thing.
Right,
And it's
yeah.
you know, and I agree with Liam. I like it.
It's a very much a in-hand experience, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
everyone I know I spoke
Totes.
to has really liked it. Other than our other friend Jason, the other Jason, I don't think liked it. But
Yeah, Dark
everybody
Jason.
else. The only thing negative I have to say about it is the axe he comes with. It looks like a Simpsons comb. It's
The
just
axe
like
is
Bart's hair being
yeah.
combed. Yeah, it's terrible.
The axe
How did they
is
think of that?
wank. Honestly, it's really bad. And no gun with him, which
No.
is a real
Oh,
shame.
really?
Although
Oh, I
the
didn't know that.
concept evolution thing does have a gun. Weirdly,
Does it?
yeah.
Which one?
the three pack that they're doing.
No, but I
the-
mean, which gun? Is it one of the ones
it's a
from the
new gun.
Legacy?
No, I think it's a new
Oh,
gun.
for God's sake!
Yeah. So they had a gun for it, and they just didn't include it with the Studio Series release.
And we got
it
the
seems.
Simpsons comb instead. God.
Yeah. They should have thrown in the gun and left the axe. But I guess the axe is quite well known in the computer video game, isn't it? So
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
true.
They
That's
shouldn't
very
have
true.
given it that swooshing motion. That kind of just kills it.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Even my boy was like, "Why does this look weird?" And I was like, "Just does, mate."
Yes,
Yeah.
Looks like Prime's been eating Cheetos with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's
Very
got that Studio Series Devastation Prime now, and he loves it, honestly. So
Yeah, nice. That's
Very
good.
good.
Good question. I'm off to watch the 86 movie.
as you should. Turn in your nerd card, honestly.
No, exactly.
Wheelie. My God.
Like my go-to default.
This is one of the Dinobots, Grimmer.
Sounds like the type of thing he would say.
God. I've said this
Ye
before.
Grimlock not follow on Chrysomatic Paw. That's exactly how it went, Jason.
Oh,
Yes,
God.
you see?
A chrysomatic bore-fine, look behind, you know. Safe sex,
works.
don't get pregnant.
Exactly.
Condom
All this
machine.
stuff works. You see? Oh my goodness.
I've said before, Jason, and I'll say it again, that I constantly think of you in that, you know, that meme from Brave with the guy with the butterfly, where he's
Yes.
like, is this, you know, and it's like, in this case, is this Wheelie? You know,
You can make that meme for this episode.
I've made that meme about you about a dozen times
Yeah,
on the
it's
Discord
true.
already.
It's very
so,
true.
yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, Jason's antics aside, that was a fun chat, wasn't it? Well, including Jason's antics, it was a fun chat, I should say. But yeah, that is us done on Studio Series. So as I said, do hit us up on all the socials. Let us know what you think about the line. You know, has it strayed away from its kind of core intended purpose, or do you like where it's gone? Maybe we'd love to hear about it. And otherwise, you can catch us for the next episode.